And now, introducing the man who loves Neil Diamond almost as much as JD and Darren, so look out, he's coming to America. Coming to ye, he is Glenn Clark.
Not bad. It's perfect rhyme. Good morning. Glenn Clark Radio, I'm Glenn, he's Paul. Good to have you with us. Happy Thursday. We're here till, 12 or so. Much to do on the program today. We're going to chat with the executive director of the Senior Bowl, Jim Nagy. He's going to join us here in just a few minutes. Get ready for next week's event, our weekly NFL draft segment. Find out a little bit more about the players that'll be participating, maybe a few of the offensive linemen in particular that might be of interest to you, the Baltimore Ravens fan. We'll do that here in just a bit. Very rare that we do this, but for the second time this week, Anthony Levine Sr. is going to join us a little bit later on. Of course, CoCap was with us on Monday, and I tried to get something like, hey, man, you think about your future at all? He was like, yeah. Sandbagging me. No, I mean, clearly he had a plan, and that played out, and he announced his retirement from the Baltimore Ravens, and we're happy for him, and he's going to transition into a scouting coaching role with the team, which is very cool for them to be able to keep him around. We'll talk to him about that later on this hour. In the 11 a.m. hour, we'll make our picks for championship weekend. Ken Zalis will join us and share some thoughts about how these games will go down. Kind of important for me, I have to pick one game differently. If I don't pick one game differently than Kyle, I'm done. It's over. He clinches. If we pick both games the same way, he clinches today. Today, it's over. It's over, Jack. It's done. And I'm very nervous about that. Not that it really matters. It's not that much money, but still, you at least want to drag out the drama a little bit for the sake of the show. I think I know, literally only for the sake of picking a game differently than him, I think I know what I'm going to do, but I don't believe in it. Like, I think it's only going to keep me alive for 3 more days until inevitably he's right and I'm wrong on Sunday. But I think I know what I'm going to do just to give myself a chance to play on, and keep hope alive. So we'll get there in the 11 a.m. hour. That's all coming up on the program today. Today's show is brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. I don't know if you made your plans for where you're going to be at for the big game, but if I were you, I'd try to be at Live Casino and Hotel and in the FanDuel Sportsbook because there is just no better atmosphere that you could ask for. We were there, obviously, for the divisional round, and it was insane. I mean, it was nuts. Every play in the fourth quarter. And these aren't even like, there were maybe a handful, 5 or 6 total, like hardcore Rams or Buccaneers fans. It was just everybody who had skin in the game. And so because you got money at stake, people losing their damn minds over every play. It was an insane atmosphere. The food at Sports and Social is amazing. I highly recommend the Thai chili wings. It's just an unbelievable atmosphere with the in-game betting, right? It's such a cool thing. If you feel a certain way, you look up, you say, boy, those numbers are shifting. I might want to go get in on that. Whew. So much fun. But there's going to be a huge crowd. And so if you want to guarantee your spot, what I would do if I were you is I would email events@sportssocialmd.com. That's events@sportssocialmd.com to guarantee your spot, whether you want to sit in one of the massaging or reclining chairs is what I meant to say. They're not massaging chairs, they're reclining chairs. Although if you bring Jeremy Kahn with you, maybe they could become massaging chairs because he'd be willing to do that for you. If you want to sit in one of the reserved areas, you can get your spot. You got to email events@sportssocialmd.com right now, and then you'll be in. Yes.
Ben Roethlisberger officially retires.
Oh, well, that's. I mean, like I guess that's what we were all assuming, but my God, that there's that small part of me that wonders if like he just spent 3 weeks poking around. Like any chance at all you'd be willing to? Any chance, Denver? Any chance? Got his answer and said, all right, I guess I'll save face and announce that I'm retiring. He definitely could also be the type that, you get to like the middle of the season next year and somebody's in desperate straits, You'd be like, I'll come back and play for you. You know, I'll give you a game or two. I saw somebody do that bit this week. I don't remember who it was on Twitter that was like, if I were the Giants, I would sign Barry Bonds for one game to reset his Hall of Fame clock.
I saw that.
And I was like, it's a hell of an idea. It's a hell of an idea.
It is.
Right? Like, it's a hell of an idea.
Do you have any doubt that Barry Bonds could still come out and get a few hits a week?
Yeah, I do. I have a lot
do?
of doubts about that. Yes.
He's Barry Bonds.
I understand what you're saying. I really do. And if what you're saying is, like, maybe he could hit 0-26 for the season, like, yeah, maybe he could.
No,
but
he could hit better than that. If Bernie Mac could do it.
Yeah, right, Bernie Mac. Yeah, that's a good point. He got one hit, if you remember correctly.
He got 3. He needed 3 to get the 3,000.
That was what it was? It was 3? God, it's been a long time since I watched Mr. 3000. I'm not proud of the fact that I ever watched Mr. 3000, frankly, but for some reason it's like when I think of Miller Park, I think of that before I think of anything related to the Brewers.
Yep.
I'm like not kidding remotely. I think of Mr. 3000. When I see Miller Park, the first thing that comes to my mind is Mr. 3000.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way that it goes. And for some odd reason, that brief period in time when C.C. Sabathia pitched for the Brewers.
2008, yep.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, because he signed with the Yankees.
I remember it like so fondly for some reason. I was like hyped that C.C. Sabathia was a Brewer.
Because he was good in Cleveland that year,
Yeah.
and then he went to the Brewers and he was otherworldly.
Yeah, it was
and he
insane.
pitched every other day.
Yeah, they really did. They pitched his
pitched him
arm
every
off.
other
That's a
day.
great point. They really did. So yeah, Ben Roethlisberger retires, which is almost as important as Anthony Levine Sr. retiring. Honestly, like I think when you weigh the two, there was a baseball player that did a great bit this week. Oh, it was Gordon Beckham, who was like, now that my friend Buster Posey has retired, I'm also going to announce my retirement from baseball so that we can go into the Hall of Fame together. Such a good bit. Really, really well. Like, if you're going to send out a tweet like that, it's just so perfectly done. So
Who was the
perfect.
player again? I'm so sorry.
Gordon Beckham?
Gordon Beckham.
Gordon Beckham.
Nice.
Was he the one? Which Beckham was in Baltimore for a
Tim.
second? Tim Beckham.
Tim Beckham.
Tim
But
Beckham.
Gordon Beckham
was supposed to be a rock star.
Yeah.
Was supposed to be a superstar. Like, was supposed to be it just never happened, man.
Nope.
It just never was the case for old Gordon Beckham. Gordo, as I call him, because we're
Gordo.
close personal friends, so I can do that. Of course, weird day yesterday where all of a sudden all of the Michigan people and all the college football reporters started saying, hey, done deal, Mike McDonald, he's the guy. He's going to Baltimore. He's going to be the defensive coordinator. And we're all like, all right, cool, that makes sense. Obviously, he was in Baltimore for a long time. He was a guy that was gradually moving his way up and then got the opportunity to go out with Jim and be the defensive coordinator. It makes all the sense in the world. It's not promoting someone internally, but it really is, right? It really is promoting an internal candidate because Mike McDonald was the assistant head coach for a little while in Baltimore before he left. Like, Mike McDonald, it makes all the sense that would be the choice for the Ravens to be their next defensive coordinator. As we talked about yesterday, it's a little bit weird, like, not knowing about the story with Jim Harbaugh, because as I said, if Jim Harbaugh is going to the NFL, presumably Mike McDonald could have just gone with him. So was this really his way of saying, like, yeah, I trust John more than I trust you? Was this really his way of saying, like, I like the situation in Baltimore more than I like the situation in, say, Las Vegas? Who knows? But then as the day unfolds, it's not a done deal. And the Ravens are still interviewing candidates.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, but yet there's still this belief that he's the favorite to get the job. It's a very weird, everything about it is really, really weird, man. Like, it's just a bizarre. I'll read Jeff Zrebeck's tweet from last night. Like, I just watching this, and I know it's not all that dissimilar. Like 2 nights ago, Byron Leftwich was going to be the coach of the Jaguars. Here we are 2 days later, and Byron Leftwich is still not the coach of the Jaguars. And now there's this report that, like, he's only going to take the job if they blow out the GM and hire Adrian Wilson to be the next GM instead, right? Like, it's part of the problem is everybody wants to be first, and there's still a lot of things that we don't know yet. So here's a string of things that Jeff Zrebeck said from The Athletic. Nothing finalized yet for the Ravens, but as others have said, Michigan D.C. Mike McDonald has emerged as the Ravens' top choice for their D.C. job. McDonald interviewed in 2018 for the same job that went to Wink Martindale. Now he looks like Martindale's likely successor. Okay, well, that's just sort of echoing everything everybody else said. Then 4 hours later, Jeff Zrebeck tweeted, Harbaugh's still working through this process. McDonald's potential departure to the Ravens seems to be getting treated like a mere formality at Michigan, but the Ravens are still working toward finalizing a decision. McDonald is still perceived as the top candidate, though, to return to Baltimore. Oh, okay. An hour after that, Coaches who have or will formally interview for the Ravens DC job include Ravens defensive lineman coach Anthony Weaver, Ravens pass game coordinator Chris Hewitt, Michigan DC Mike McDonald, Jags defensive coordinator Joe Collins, Saints defensive backs coach Chris Richard, Cowboys defensive backs coach Joe Witt Jr., Buccaneers inside linebackers coach Mike Caldwell. That came after I can't even remember the name of the ESPN Buccaneers reporter who reported that Mike Caldwell had interviewed the job. Jeff follows up, there might be a few others too. And there certainly are a good number of available coaches who have had informal talks with Harbaugh about the open DC job. It's very weird.
Grant Balfour. That's what I think of. Oh, he's going to be an Oriole. He's an Oriole. He's going to be the closer.
Yeah, I do remember that. Did he actually sign at one point?
All he had to do was pass a physical.
Right, yeah. He actually,
physical.
right, correct.
He flipped out like on social media,
right.
And then he went to the Rays and pitched like a 6-something ERA that year.
Right. And who was the other one that was the physical? Oh, no.
Aaron Seeley.
No, that was years before.
Yeah.
They signed, more recently.
Giovanni
Gallardo failed the physical. They signed him anyway, correct.
To a different deal.
Yes, that was a thing. All right, so, and Ryan Grant with the Ravens once upon a time.
Oh, that's right.
So, I work through all of this and still come out of it thinking to myself, it's most likely to be Mike McDonald based on everything that we've heard, but maybe there's this other side of it. Maybe there's this part where Mike McDonald's like, well, I would kind of like to know where Jim Harbaugh's going and what my options are, and if he takes a job in the NFL and I look and say, see that there's a bunch of stud defensive players there, whereas in Baltimore there's a little bit less. If we're just being honest, there's not quite the same, and I don't know where that would be. I try to think. Now we know so it won't be the Broncos because they're going to hire Nathaniel Hackett as their next head coach. But let's say it was the Dolphins, and you got Xavier Howard, and you got Rashad Jones, and you're like, no offense in Baltimore, but like those pieces down there are really good, man. Like, and I'm not trying to say that those pieces are Xavier Howard's a little bit more high end than Marlon Humphrey. Even when we thought Marlon Humphrey was Marlon Humphrey, right? And I think we all believe that Marlon Humphrey will be Marlon Humphrey again, just a weird anomaly of a season. Rashad Jones is definitely better than any safety they've got in Baltimore. And I'm saying these things not knowing about the contract status of anybody in Miami because I just don't pay attention to those things the same way. My God, why would I? I could see him sort of saying, look, man, could you tell me what you're doing? Because that would help me in making my decision. If I knew what you were doing. And Jim Harbaugh, the problem might be that he doesn't know what he's doing. Like, he just doesn't have an answer on that. He does not know for sure whether or not he's going to take an NFL job. Like, it's completely possible. So we think the answer is going to be Mike McDonald. We're pretty sure, based on all the reports yesterday, that the answer is going to be Mike McDonald. But the answer ain't Mike McDonald yet. As of right now, the Ravens continue looking for a defensive coordinator. And we have to be patient, which is just not something that we're good at. We want our dessert now. We don't want to have to wait for dinner. We want to go ahead and get over to the ice cream bar and put jimmies and cherries all over our ice cream. That's the way that it works. So there's that. I want to know today, we talked about this last week, and I told you guys a week ago that my rooting interest was the Bills. That was it. I was rooting for the Bills. And, of course, I got to enjoy that for all of a few minutes. Is there anything left? Is there anything left that you care about related to the NFL playoffs? And, again, the answer might be simple as my bets. I'm going to Live Casino and Hotel on Sunday. I'm putting some bets down. Totally get that. Is there anything left that you have any interest in at all related to these NFL playoffs?
Can you find yourself as a person that roots for the Ravens, isn't a fan of the Bengals? Can you find yourself cheering for Pat Mahomes?
Nope, not a chance. Not a chance. I have nothing against Pat Mahomes personally, but there's no chance that I could cheer for Tyreek Hill. There's no chance that, trust any as we talked about yesterday, any scenario that involves more of Mrs. Mahomes and Brother Mahomes in my life, I'm out. No, thank you. There is no bloody way for me to embrace Kansas City. In fact, the more embraceable story is by far the Bengals. You just don't want to embrace them because of what we talked about a week ago, where you're fearful that they're about to be, like, if they go beat the Chiefs this weekend, holy hell, we really are talking about a different animal moving forward. If that's how good, if their crap offensive line is irrelevant, and they can go beat the Chiefs because Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, they're that good, Katie bar the effing door, man. Like, they're going to be a huge problem for a very long time.
See, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm not. I can't embrace it in any way. I can't embrace it.
I won't embrace them, but I'm okay because we've lived through Ravens Steelers for so long, and the top-notch performances of both teams that it's kind of like you're used to this. And if the Steelers going to fall by the wayside, somebody else needs to step up anyway.
I'm also not
well
convinced that the Steelers are just going to fall by the wayside. They are very good at identifying talent. Maybe, or they find it, or they are the team of all. They figure out which one of these quarterbacks is the guy that everybody's overlooking. And next year, Desmond Ridder is a thorn in our side, and we hate the guy forever. Like, Ben Roethlisberger wasn't a number 1 pick overall. You know what I mean? Like, they know a thing or two about identifying talent in Pittsburgh. They've done it over the years. It's one thing to say that from a football perspective, if you were looking at it from 10,000 feet, the Bengals are a great story. They're a wonderful story, a moribund franchise that has been utterly and completely irrelevant for the overwhelming majority of their history. When in 2 years, turning around just based on this quarterback, just based on how effing good this quarterback is.
2-14 to the AFC Championship.
It's insane. It's an amazing story. It's just not one I can embrace. I can't embrace it because we're going to have to deal with the guy for forever. And, you know, you can feel those feelings of like, good for them, right? For a second, until they all start coming out of the woodwork, until they start running their mouths. Until
that's the part I don't like.
That's the thing. You're going to be dealing with it a lot. This isn't like, again, if it was Buffalo, you'd say, we don't really have to deal with that. You know, you might have a Buffalo person or two in your life, and for the most part, they've been pleasant. But like, nah, you know, like, no, they're gonna start coming out of the woodwork all of a sudden. There's nothing to embrace about it as a Ravens fan, and I have no problem saying I'm indifferent towards the NFC. Like, whoever wins, and that's essentially how I feel. But I can't embrace them. I'll root for them in the Super Bowl for the sake of having somebody to root for, right? For the sake of having someone to say, it's a lesser of evils. As I said before, you cannot in a million years get me to embrace the Los Angeles Rams. They're fakes. They are frauds. They're phonies. That's a plant. The NFL created a team. You're rooting for the NFL. You're not rooting. There's no fan base. There's going to be 65% 49ers fans at the game on Sunday. And I get it. They've only been back for 5 years or whatever it is. But still, it's phony. You're rooting for something that was created, that was manipulated. I can't root for that. I like Jake Funk. I'll feel good for Jake Funk if he happens to be able to say he's a Super Bowl champion. But I'm not embracing them. I don't have any warm fuzzies about the Los Angeles Rams. Not a chance in hell. About Stan Kroenke, a garbage human? No chance. Zippy. Zero. I get it. Matt Stafford, kind of neat story. Again, went through living hell in his football life and comes out on the other side. Fine. Bully for him. But not something I can embrace. And the 49ers, I don't know. What is there to embrace?
Jimmy
right?
Garoppolo is like so mediocre, and he just keeps finding ways
I mean,
to
he's
win.
very handsome.
Yeah,
he's got that
man.
going for him. He's a very, very handsome man. I got an ex-girlfriend who's in love with him, like obsessed with him, literally watches every game. Did you watch the Niners this weekend?
Did you see his eyes sparkling through his helmet?
I get Deebo Samuel's fun, but there's nothing embraceable about it. It's just sort of like, okay, they're also there. Like, they're there. And again, the flip side being, I don't hate either of those teams in any way. I have no desperate desire to see them lose either. And that really takes it away from me. So I'm trying to figure out what it is that you might have personally. Andrew Stecka says, I am embracing the Bengals. Obviously, I want the Ravens to be better and overcome them, but the Bengals are by far the best story in these playoffs right now. The NFC teams are interesting in their own way, but Cincy is the best story by far, so I embrace that. Down with Kansas City. I hear you on down with Kansas City. Like, I hear that. But not to the point of embracing the Bengals, not wrapping my arms around the Bengals. I can't do it. because I remember what it felt like wrapping my arms around the Patriots and they faced the Rams in that Super Bowl all those years ago. It make you feel gross about it afterwards. You're like, why did I do that? The hell was I thinking? Paul from Ovilando, at this point, just really rooting against KC. Don't care for their organization. Out of the 4 teams left, probably would want the 49ers to win over the rest. Would find it funny if Jimmy G wins the Super Bowl, considering the organization doesn't really want him anymore. Yeah, I mean, there'd be something funny, ironic. I don't know what the word is. There'd be something about that would be interesting in some capacity, but I don't know exactly how to define it, unfortunately. And from Daryl says, Glenn, nothing that I would say that I'm particularly embracing, to steal your term, but I would say that at this point, I think the Bengals are the one that would be the best Yeah, I mean, we all agree with that, Daryl. I mean, we do. We all agree that the best football story would be the Bengals. But no chance. Zip. Not to the point of rooting for them. Acknowledging it, saying, hey, this is wild, this is neat. You know, the rest of the country, it'd be a fun, different story to tell for 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl. Yeah, it's different. It's not the same stuff, the whole deal. Yeah, I'm with you. But embracing, being happy, putting a smile on my face, no, could not possibly get me to do that. Continue to get me your responses at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter. Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil helps extend engine life. Visit your local Jiffy Lube service center. Ask for Mobil 1. Why don't we go ahead and grab a break and let's see where we are. All right, let's see where we are. And we think we're supposed to be chatting with Jim Nagy here in a second, but we'll get that figured out and go from there. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Duffy's Garage is a family-owned and operated car care facility in beautiful Baldwin, Maryland. An authorized Maryland inspection station and Napa Pro Care Center with ASE-certified techs. Tell them that Glenn Clark sent you and receive 10% off your service with a max discount of $150. You gotta trust where you take your car, so take it to where I take mine. Duffy's Garage in Baldwin. Duffy'sGarageMD.com.
From all of the biggest games to the smallest events, make every bet worth your while at MyBookie. Start by doubling your first deposit instantly with MyBookie's first deposit bonus up to $1,000. Double your money before you even place a bet, and all you have to do is sign up and deposit using the exclusive promo code PRESSBOX at mybookie.ag. If your first deposit is $100, MyBookie adds $100 so you can start with $200 to play with. If your first deposit is $1,000, MyBookie adds $1,000 so you can start with $2,000 to play with. With tons of great games and prop bets to take advantage of this week, there is truly something for everyone. Don't wait any longer. Head to MyBookie today to redeem your double deposit bonus so you can start winning big today. That's promo code PRESSBOX to receive double your first deposit instantly in your account. No hassle, no wait. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
It's another cold winter here in Baltimore, but this time there's no hot stove to warm you up. Hi, I'm Paul Valley, and while there may be no activity in the world of baseball, I'll still be here every week with my co-host Zach Goodman to give you all the latest in the CBA negotiations as teams look to get back on the field in time for spring training. You can watch us live every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline or facebook.com/PressBoxSports and listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. So tune in every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon for the latest in baseball coverage right here on the Bat Around.
Glory Days Grill's winter seasonal menu is back with comfort classics like their house-made meatloaf and short rib grilled cheese. It also features the center-cut sirloin with grilled shrimp, the char-grilled pork tenderloin, grilled meatloaf sandwich, smoky thigh wings with Alabama barbecue sauce, and a Brussels and bacon appetizer. All of these items pair well with Devil's Backbone 8-Point IPA or their anniversary IPA brewed by Devil's Backbone. And try their seasonal cocktails, Blood Orange Bourbon Cider, Apple Ginger Mule, and Captain's Hot Cider. Find out more and get your order in today at glorydaysgrill.com. Great food, good sports.
Window Depot Baltimore provides the highest quality Pro Via windows, doors, and siding for all budgets. The best is finally affordable. Call them today for a free in-home consultation at 410-941-3499. They also offer Zoom and FaceTime consultations in an effort to practice social distancing. A proud sponsor of the Tyus Bowser Show, you can find out more at WindowDepotBaltimore.com.
We can't imagine why you'd want to, but you can watch GCR live. It's at facebook.com/PressBoxSports and try to guess whether these guys are wearing any pants.
All right, back in here on GCR. We got to move some things around this morning, and that's all right. We're always happy to be flexible and work with everyone to make things possible. So I'm going to try to move Jim Nagy to a little bit later on and see if we can't get that squared away. Anthony Levine Sr. is going to join us here in just a little bit. Tonight, Stan the Fan Charles and Gary Steiner are going to do a very special show sort of about the booming card collecting business, which is, wild and something that I am in no ways a part of whatsoever. It ain't my world. It ain't my bag, man. Just not my thing. But it is for a lot of people. I accept that. It's something that maybe I should probably be spending more time with because it's insane. So they're going to do a special show tonight all about that. If you missed Stan and Ross Grimsley talking to Don Stanhouse earlier in the week, you can find those shows right now, facebook.com/PressBoxSports by clicking on the videos tab or by going to PressBoxOnline.com/video and finding them there. A couple of things, and things that I've sort of been filing away at this point, and I'm going to get to them this morning because we got a minute here. Chris sent me a message. I didn't talk literally at all yesterday about Maryland beating Rutgers because, again, I've sort of said my piece about Maryland basketball for the year. It's just not, unfortunately, interesting. But Chris asking the question that I'm sure is the best thing that you could come up with, he said, Glenn, after watching the last couple of Maryland games, at what point do you have to start taking Danny Manning seriously? I know you have brought that up with other guests in the past, and it always sort of seems like lip service that people are just saying, oh, yeah, there's something he could do. But as they start winning games and looking like a competitive team, at what point does that become a real conversation? It also just so happens to coincide with the fact that Kevin Willard has been struggling in recent weeks and maybe does not look as attractive to Maryland fans as he had looked previously. Fair question, Chris. Very fair question. I guess what I would start with, I think you'll feel it. I don't think there's a defined, here's what he would have to do. He'd have to win this number of games. I think you'll feel it because it would require people caring about Maryland basketball. Yeah, they beat Rutgers on the road the other night. Let's not pretend like Rutgers is something of significance. They beat Illinois last Friday. Illinois is pretty good, but they didn't have their best player. Let's not get carried away. Let's say we acknowledge those results. Acknowledge them, as Roman Reigns might ask. We acknowledge they occurred. They won a couple of games. That's neat. They could have lost them. Even without Kofi Coburn, they could have lost that game. They got Indiana, Michigan State coming up. If they start putting together something, you'll start to feel it. You'll know. You'll know because there'll be a vibe. There'll be conversation. There'll be chatter. There will be a thought that Danny Manning is doing something that makes him a warranted candidate to be the basketball coach. But there's no way to define it. There's no record he could get to. There's no number of consecutive wins because all of them are circumstantial. And it might very well be that he wins a few games the first time they face a really good team. It falls apart. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Danny Manning in any way. He's a qualified coach, obviously, given his time, Tulsa and Wake Forest. He's not what Maryland, when they started this search, he's not what they're looking for. They're looking for someone with a higher standard. And there's very little that could be done during the course of this season, even moving forward from sort of, boy, he was handed a bag of crap and he's trying to do something with it. There's just very little that you can do if you're Danny Manning to make yourself a candidate on the level of the coaches that we know Maryland wants to look at. To your point about Kevin Willard, I did see that Seton Hall's lost a couple of games of late. It certainly wouldn't change my overall opinion of Kevin Willard whatsoever. I think he's a really good coach. He's not been my top guy. He's not been the guy that I've thought that Maryland should be throwing themselves after, but I've always sort of thought like he was this the what am I looking for? He was like the standard. Is that what I'm trying to say? What am I trying to say? I always thought that was the low end. The low end is they're going to do Kevin Willard. That's the safety. It's almost like having a safety school.
Point.
It's something like that. Yeah, sure. The starting point works. That was my thought. And that's not disrespectful to Kevin Willard. That's to say, like, if you're below Kevin Willard, I didn't think you were going to get a chance to get the job because they could always get Kevin Willard. And Kevin Willard is a more qualified hire, and it's a very reasonable choice for the University of Maryland to make. By the way, they lost 2 games. They've lost 4 out of their last 5. And the last 2 were at home, to St. John's and Marquette, both by double digits. Yeah, it's not great. Not a great look. No getting around that. Not a great look. Doesn't suddenly make me think that Kevin Willard can't coach, right? But as I said before, if what your fear is in relation to Kevin Willard is that he's essentially Mark Turgeon redux as far as accomplishment is concerned, I can't tell you that you're wrong. He hasn't accomplished anything more significant than what Mark Turgeon had accomplished when Mark Turgeon arrived at Maryland. Now, they got different personalities, and he did it in a different location in the country, and those things I do think are meaningful. And I'm not trying to tell you that if you hire Kevin Willard, what you're going to end up with 10 years down the road is Mark Turgeon. But I do think that there would be someone, when they sit down and look at Kevin Willard and say, what am I supposed to be excited about? Or Ed Cooley. What am I supposed to be excited about? What have they accomplished that makes me say, I know this is a coach that can elevate Maryland to being a national championship contender? And the answer I'm going to give back to you is you don't. You can't. But there's only a few of those coaches. Typically, if someone's actually accomplished those things, they're at a place where they're not looking to leave. Mark Few's not leaving Gonzaga. If you're hiring a coach like that, it's normally because they have warts. It's because it's Bruce Pearl. It's because it's whatever it is. Obviously, the Louisville job now becomes available as well. My buddy Jeff Ehrman from InsideMDSports.com was tweeting yesterday that the Louisville job looks like a slam dunk for Nate Oates. If you're looking to leave Alabama, if you're looking to get out quickly and cash in on being the most desirable name, Louisville's the perfect place to do it. It is a basketball school. It is a legitimate, especially now in the ACC, place where you're assuming that you can compete for national championships. We know they're not that far removed. They're not nearly as far removed from winning one as Maryland is. Louisville is the type of job that you cash in your chips for, that you say, this is the place where I need to be. The Athletic, there was a piece this week in The Athletic, and I apologize, I was not actually even familiar with the author, about taking a big overview of the Maryland job and saying, boy, it was a national writer. It was like, I had no idea Maryland didn't have a practice facility, which, of course, everyone here has known. And it's the reason why when everybody keeps trying to talk about what a great job Maryland is, I keep saying to myself, like, what do you not know? Because there's no evidence at the moment that Maryland is that great of a job. Certainly not that great of a job that if you are the top, and I know it's not been a great season for Alabama since they beat Gonzaga, if you're the top guy, the most desirable candidate, there's nothing about Maryland that says, I need to cash my chips in for that job. Louisville, there's a lot that says that. I mean, it's kind of crazy how quick things fell apart for Chris Mack there. Like, I thought Chris Mack was a coach. I thought that was a great hire. I was all in. Like, Chris Mack would have been the type of guy that if Maryland had needed a coach at that point, I would have said, man, go get Chris Mack. Makes all the sense in the world, and even more sense considering, he was going from Cincinnati, or from Xavier, which is in Cincinnati, to Louisville, and that's 100 feet away. That made all the sense geographically that he would have worked out there, and it didn't. But to me, if I'm Louisville, I'm all over Nate Oates, and if I'm Nate Oates, that's the job. I'm cashing in my chips right now and getting to a top destination premier basketball school, which I wouldn't have done for Maryland given Maryland's circumstances. So back to square one. I don't think the Louisville job necessarily, if it ends up being Nate Oates, who knows? But if it's Nate Oates, I don't think that factors in for Maryland at all because I don't think Nate Oates was ever coming to Maryland. But if it's not Nate Oates, it can become a factor. the coaches that Maryland was interested in. If Maryland really wanted Andy Enfield, and Andy Enfield said, I want to be at a basketball school, Louisville's a better option than Maryland. You can say, hey, well, he's got ties to the area. He was at Johns Hopkins. It's all well and good. Between the two jobs, I'm going to Louisville. It's not close. I would have to have something so unique. Not just I went to Johns Hopkins and I have affinity for the area. Like, it would have to be that, like, my wife's family is here and she's hell-bent that I be here or something like that to make the difference between being at Louisville and being at Maryland. If I'm Andy Enfield, Louisville's the answer to me, period. That's where I'm going. And I don't know that they're going to be interested in him. But there's no debate. That's where I would be going. And so that does become a factor for Maryland. There's already a better job that's going to be on the market than the Maryland job. And we're only 2 jobs in. It only took to the second job for Maryland to no longer be the most desirable one. And who knows? I don't know what else might become available. I'm not paying that close of attention to it. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that makes sense. Obviously, Duke already knows who their next coach is going to be. I'm trying to think of other jobs. Like, could Leonard Hamilton retire from Florida State? I know they've had great success, but I think most of us think that has more to do with the coach than it has to do with the program. I wouldn't think Florida State would be a more desirable job. Can't think of other jobs off the top of my head. But the Louisville thing is a factor. There's no doubt. It's a factor in this search for Maryland's next basketball coach. And if Danny Manning somehow wins 8-10, if they go on an insane run, I assure you, you'll know. You'll look around one day and you'll say, Danny Manning's a candidate for this job. Like, there's no question about it. But we're nowhere close to that because they won back-to-back games. Neat. If you're invested in every game, far more pleasant for you to watch Maryland win the games.
Can you imagine the backlash, though, if that happens?
No, not at all, because he would force his way to being a candidate. They would be doing something so wildly significant they have to consider Danny Manning.
Okay.
Otherwise, they're not. Like, there is no middle ground. We're like, well, maybe we just keep the guy that we have.
I feel like you're going to have backlash either way, no matter who they hire.
Dude, if they go, well, sure, it's because if they win 12 of 14 games or something like that, everybody's going to look around and say, yeah, I mean, if he can win with this group of guys, imagine if he had a real player, right? Like, no offense to these guys, and some of them are playing well. Eric Ayala is playing well. But that's what it requires. It requires something nuts. Mm-hmm. It requires an insane stretch. And it's just still wildly unrealistic.
Yeah.
All right. When we come back in, Anthony Levine is going to join us for the second time this week after he announced his retirement from the NFL. We're going to chat with him about that. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Sports fans, the wait is over. The all-new FanDuel Sportsbook is now open at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. This is your chance to win big right in your own backyard. Bet on every sport with self-service kiosks and watch all of the action from the best seat in the house. Make every moment more at the all-new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Duffy's Garage is a family-owned and operated car care facility in beautiful Baldwin, Maryland. An authorized Maryland inspection station and Napa Pro Care Center with ASE-certified techs. Tell them that Glenn Clark sent you and receive 10% off your service with a max discount of $150. You gotta trust where you take your car, so take it to where I take mine. Duffy's Garage in Baldwin. Duffy'sGarageMD.com.
The latest issue of Press Box is available now, and it's our very special annual Best of issue. On the cover, we celebrate Justin Tucker as our Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, honoring his historic on-field achievements, but also the unprecedented relationship he shared with Baltimore. Inside, we recognize the top people, performances, and moments of 2021, including Cedric Mullins' incredible season and the dominance of local Paralympic athletes. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores. And you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
The biggest pro wrestling stars today and all time all have one thing in common. You've heard them on Jobbing Out.
Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks.
Thanks for having us, man. Appreciate it.
The great Kurt Angle.
Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Matt Riddle.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man.
The champ, Drew McIntyre.
Oh, thank you for having me.
The great Ron Simmons.
Damn.
Keith Lee.
Appreciate you guys having me, man.
Bill Goldberg.
My pleasure.
Charlotte.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mick Foley is with us.
This is the greatest name for a wrestling show I've ever heard.
MJF.
I'm glad you're happy I'm on this show because I'm freaking miserable.
Le
champion.
Chris Jericho.
Le champion.
AJ, Aaron, Brandon, and Glenn are talking pro wrestling every week on Jobbing Out. Find it at PressBoxOnline.com/radio, iTunes, and SoundCloud.
Stay tuned. Your chance to win $1 million is coming up. Probably not from us. You're listening to Glenn Clark Radio.
We're having a day over here, having ourselves a day. It is a Thursday edition of GCR. Today's show is also brought to you by CCBC. If you need to hone your computer skills to boost your career, or maybe you want an IT certification, CCBC Continuing Education has the courses and programs you need for a career in the computer field, and it's all tuition free. Yeah, tuition free. From the basics to specialized training, we have the classes you need, from hardware to programming to cybersecurity and so much more. It's your choice. It's your career. Call 443-840-4700 or visit ccbcmd.edu/computer training. All right. Well, I got nothing now. No, I'm kidding. Of course, that's not the case. A couple of you have gotten in this morning. From who is Orioles Idiot? I have never known. Tell me who you are. Reach out to me at some point. Tell me who you are. But agrees. I'm feeling the oh no, I'm not feeling the Chiefs. Feeling the Chiefs. All the Bengals fans coming out of the woodwork are annoying enough already. They'll be so much worse if they get to the Super Bowl. That part we agree about. We agree about that part of it. We do not agree about the first part of the equation. You cannot embrace the Chiefs, cannot get behind the Chiefs. No chance. No way in hell. But I can't embrace the Bengals because they're all, this is going to be a thing. It's going to be a thing, and you're going to be hating them for a while to come, and you just don't feel it fully yet, so you think maybe, like, I can be happy for it. Nope, you can't. I promise you cannot. John Little Rock, I want madness with the Bengals and Niners winning. Down the favorites. The Rams and their scumbag owner are the worst. Okay? I mean, sure, it's upheaval in some sort of way. Like, they're already in the championship game. There's only so much upheaval it can be. It's not like the Jaguars are suddenly going to be in the Super Bowl. But, and you know, I guess technically the 49ers are underdogs, but they're also the team that beat the Rams the last 6 times they played them. So, you know, weird. There's something weird about that. I don't know that I would call it madness. I would certainly say the NFL at this point most certainly is rooting for the LA market and Patrick Mahomes to be in the Super Bowl. There's no doubt about that. That's the best scenario for the National Football League for getting attention to their game of what they have left. They would have rather have been Tom Brady. They would have rather have been Aaron Rodgers. A reminder, this is kind of proof the NFL can't fix the games. All these years we've been trying to believe that there's a conspiracy because they most certainly would have fixed it for something besides what they've gotten. But at this point of what's left, there's no doubt Patrick Mahomes, superstar quality, entertaining player, they want him, and there's no doubt they want the LA market in their Super Bowl. No question on either side. That's what they want more than anything else. As far as whether it's madness the other way, I don't know. Madness is the word. Alex says, I'm a Georgia fan, so I want to see Stafford make the Super Bowl. And I also want to see what kind of insufferable shenanigans Jackson Mahomes and Brittany Matthews create for content, win or lose. No. I don't want that. Either way, no more. I'm out. I'll pass on all that. Man, he got one over on us, didn't he? We were just chatting with him on Monday, and I tried saying like, "Hey, man, you're thinking about the future," and he knew, but he had already made plans. They were doing a big reveal yesterday, so he couldn't tell us, and that's all right. We understand the way that works. It's great. Just a couple days removed. It's great to welcome back co-cap and a man who announced yesterday that he is moving on from his playing career and shifting into a new role with the Baltimore Ravens. An honor, as always, to welcome back to the show our friend, Mr. Anthony Levine Sr., who's back with us now on GCR. What's going on, man? How are you?
Man, what's up, man? Good morning, man. I'm good. How you doing?
All right, so when I asked you on Monday, when I said, dude, you thinking about, next year at all? You thinking about your future? You still planning on being a Raven? Which technically, you were right. You are a Raven still. There was a little bit of a giggle when I asked that question, right? Because you knew on Monday. You knew what you were doing, and you just couldn't tell me yet.
Well, you know what? I didn't know how to answer that, but I told you, I said I do plan on being back as a Raven.
100%.
I did say that.
You're right.
And so I did answer it, and I told you I was, and, I did. I just couldn't go. Well, I could have went into detail, but it was just like, I'm just going to wait.
I understand that.
But, man, when you asked me that, man, I wasn't even thinking that you was going to ask me that. You kind of caught me off guard. That's why I did it. Like, oh, snap. Like, I felt like you knew something, though. I was like, damn, do he know something?
I mean, it's not that I knew something necessarily as much as, like, it's always the right thing to ask when somebody's a decade into their career. You know what I mean? Like, it's always, and by the way, I'll still say this. I was surprised yesterday. I really was. I was caught off guard, like, oh, man, but I get it. Take me through, Anthony, when did you know? When had you made the decision that this was going to be it for you?
Man, we all set goals, right? Or at least we all should, right? And one of my goals was to make it to the NFL. Boom, goal check. All right. A few years into my career with the Ravens, once I've, really established as a player and, I became co-cap, I was like, you know what, man, my next goal, I want to do 10 years with the Ravens.
Okay.
And not a lot of people have done that. And this right here was my 10th year, and that was my goal. I said, if I get 10 years with the Ravens, I'm good, and I'm done. I said that.
Wow.
So I was contemplating. I was going back and forth, and I was like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how my family going to feel about it. I don't know I just really know what's going on. And then one day, man, I talked to my little brother, and I threw it out there. I was like, man, I'm thinking about retiring. And when he got excited, like, oh, man, you should. You beat the odds, man. You did this, you did that. And I was just like, and then a weight was lifted off my shoulder. I said, you know what? I'm making the right decision. I could go ahead and retire now.
Did the guys know? Had you told the guys during the season that was what you were thinking about? Or, during training camp, I kind of threw it out there. Okay.
Like, man, this might be my last year. And everybody's like, man, this ain't your last year. Man, look how fast you are. You still doing this. You still beating guys on the field. You still, whatever. I'm like, man, this might be it. I was just throwing it out there so what everybody would say. And nobody believed me. And then, the last 3 weeks, that's when I'm like, yo, I think this is it. But that's when I had that conversation with my little brother. Probably the last 3 weeks of the season, I had a conversation, and I just went upstairs. Probably the last week before we played the Steelers, and I told Hards. I talked to Hards about it. I talked to E about it, and that's when I was like, "Look, man, I think I'm done. I think after this is gonna be it."
Man.
And so yeah.
Man, it's crazy to think about, dude. There's so much. I said this yesterday, right? And I have seen for a long time the affinity, the reverence the players in the locker room have for you. But I described it to people as this: they treat you, those guys, like you're Ed Reed. And I don't mean this disrespectfully, right? Because I think you understand what I'm saying. You're a damn good player, probably not quite Ed Reed, right? But I watch the affinity that people have for you, and I watch it on social media over the last 24 hours. All your teammates, guys that were never your teammates, right? That just have so many wonder. What does that mean to you that you talk about beating the odds, a dude that was never supposed to do this for 12 years based on where you were when you entered the league. To see this outpouring, what has that meant to you?
Man, so when I retired, when I announced it and I told everybody I was going to retire, you know, everybody was like, man, like, wanted me to get emotional. And I'm like, well, I'm not emotional. I'm happy. I'm ready to move on, right? And then later on, a couple of days later, I'm like, well, maybe it just ain't hit me yet, right? So yesterday when the video went out, man, and I started getting text, bro, I got text messages from guys that I played against, other teams that I didn't even knew who I was.
Wow.
And I'm talking about these guys was like great players, and they texting me like, man, I got your number. I just want to make sure it's okay, whatever. I'm like, yo, I can't believe you reaching out to me, right? So I got that, and I got phone calls. I got text messages from coaches who I played against. I got, like you said, on social media. Man, I seen players who was never my teammates, like you said, that I played against and was giving me, my flowers basically. And I was just like, I was overwhelmed, man. I couldn't believe that I was getting. And like you said, like Ed Reed and Ray, like those are the guys that you would think that would get the welcoming and to ride off in the sunset. You would think it's those guys. And for me to be able to do that, man, like that's why I was like, wow, like my teammates showing me this. Like I knew my teammates loved me, and I knew people like respected me, but everything that I got from social media and the phone calls and the text messages, I was like, wow, like I can't believe that I'm really getting this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and it was just, man, it was really unbelievable, man, to be honest with you.
Would you be willing to share any, like, who they were? Is there any one that maybe you'd say, like, this one really stuck out to me? Would you be willing to do that?
I'll give you one of the players.
Okay.
That text me, who I couldn't believe text me. This guy, he was basically like who I was, Cedric Pyramid.
Yeah, absolutely.
From the Cincinnati Bengals.
Who, of course, started his career briefly in Baltimore, actually.
With the Baltimore, yeah. So, but what's crazy is I knew that he, when I first got to Baltimore, I knew that he started in Baltimore. So when he was in Cincinnati, we used to always go. I mean, we went at it. And we had some crazy battles.
I mean, he made a bunch of Pro Bowls too as a special teamer, right?
Yeah. Right. And then, man, I think I didn't know it was gonna be his last year. So when I went up to him, the first time we played him, I was like, man, I really respect the way you play. I would love to jersey swap with you. He was like, all right, the next time we play, we'll jersey swap. So we did. And then when he texted me, I was like, wow, the GOAT is texting me. You know what I'm saying? And then I sent him the picture of me and him jersey swapping.
That's cool.
And then I sent him a picture of his jersey hanging up in my house.
Oh, that's so cool.
Because I'm like, bro, that's how much I respected you, and I do still have respect for you. And for him to text me, I was just like, I'm like, wow, like he was the first person. He was the first person to text me, like, outside of this building.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool.
Yeah, nah, man, it was dope, man. And I got other players too that texted me, but I'll give you that one.
That's cool.
Coaches. Yeah, man, it was crazy.
That's cool, man. Like when you say like head coaches, special teams coaches, like who? Yeah,
special team coaches.
That's cool. That's really cool, man. He is Anthony Levine Senior. He's with us here on GCR. So when did you know that, like, staying with the team, was that a you idea? Was that a them idea? How did that come about? That I'm going to retire, but not only do I want to stay in football, I want to stay right here in Baltimore and continue to be a Raven.
The way I am, man, I am with everybody. I talk to everybody. I got a relationship with everybody in this building, not just my teammates. From the guys that work in the cafeteria, from the guys that do equipment, everybody. So I'm talking to Ozzie. I'll be talking to Coach Harves and E. And I threw it out there one day. Man, I like to coach. I like to do this. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah. And then Harves will say something like, Levine, you'll be a good coach. I'm like, you think so, coach? And then it was start trickling down, and everybody will say something to me, and we'll talk about it, but it was just like a conversation, not something that I'm thinking will really happen. And then this past year, that's when it really started picking up talk, and I was like, yeah, I think that's what I want to do. And,
wow.
And that's basically, I made this happen by just having a simple conversation and throwing it out there. and it has kind of picked up as the years went on.
Is the goal to move forward? Like, is your goal, I want to be a head coach one day down the road? Or is it just, I want to do this to stay around the game?
Man, honestly, what I want to do is I want to understand, understand the game more from a different side. And then after that, I would just like to see where it takes me. I'm gonna attack this thing like I did my playing career.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna see how it is. I'm gonna see where it goes, and then once I see exactly what I like, is it scouting, is it coaching? Then from there, I'm gonna make my decision. Like, okay, look, this is where like how I did when I got to Baltimore.
Yep.
And my career started going. I was like, you know what? This is what I want to do. Boom.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go attack it like that.
We're not gonna put like a 10-year number on it, right? We're not gonna do the same thing.
Nah. Well, I mean, I set goals. I set goals in everything I do.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to vacationing with my family, I always set goals. Okay, this is what I want to do with my family.
Oh, that's cool.
I want to make sure my kids do this. Like, I always set goals. I always write down stuff that I want to do. So I'm going to write down the goal. I just don't know what that goal is yet because I never done it. So I'm going to see where it takes me.
Anthony Levine Senior with us. He made it official yesterday. He is retiring from the NFL, but moving to this new role with the Baltimore Ravens. Anthony, for people that don't, we talked about this a little bit that night you came out with Tyus earlier this season, but the way that guys like him look at you and what we're talking about, give me the guy that maybe for you was, in looking back, the most significant figure for getting you to this point where you were able to play for 12 years in the NFL. Who was the guy whose guidance, whose advice, whatever it was, that you look back now and say, man, I don't think I would have been able to stick it this long without having this person in my life?
Man, that's a list, man. But I say it all the time, man. It's when I would say the first guy that I ever met in the league that told me about special teams, but I didn't take it seriously at the time, was Derek Morton. Derek Morton was the first guy to ever tell me about special teams.
Another former Baltimore Raven.
Yeah, I met him in Green Bay.
Yep.
And I didn't understand special teams at the time. I'm like, special teams, I'm not doing that. Whatever, But he was the first person. And then I kind of, okay. But then when I got to Baltimore, there was guys like B.A., Corey Graham, Sean Considine, Jamil McClain, Darius Webb, Albert McClellan. It was guys like that. So that's when I took off with the special teams.
Yep.
But then the guy that really extended my career past special teams, who I feel like I'm like, man, this guy really taught me some stuff and made me who I was until like my role on defense, and that's Eric Weddle. When Eric Weddle came here, man, and he saw me work out, he was like, asked me what position I play, and I was like, man, I play special teams. And then he just told me like, nah, man, you build me every single day. I'm gonna make sure you get on the field on defense. So I did, and I was with him every single day, man. And I feel like if it wasn't for Eric Weddle and Ladarius Webb, my defensive plays probably wouldn't be where it was.
Wow.
But I think, but really, Eric Weddle, man, he gave me a whole different sight on goals and stuff to do on defense.
I guess it goes without saying who you're rooting for this weekend. Then I guess that kind of you're a Rams guy for the next couple of weeks. Then, as I guess,
man,
right?
I am honestly. I really want Dub and the Rams to win, but I also, man, I got love, man, for Kyle.
Juszczyk. Yeah, it's a good point, right? Yeah, it's a good point. Sure.
His rookie year, he was my roommate.
Oh man, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So the conversations me and Juice used to have on the road, man, was like way more than football, man. We talk about family. So when Juice texted me, and Juice sent me his jersey, we talked, and so Juice the fullback and my cousin Elijah Mitchell is the running back.
Oh, I didn't know he was that's your cousin.
Elijah Mitchell, yeah.
I had no idea. Holy crap, man!
So
well, this is kind of
I'm torn. I'm torn.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, I told you yesterday. I said, hey man, make sure you look out for my cousin, Elijah Mitchell. He like, that's your cousin?
Wow.
Like, yeah, man, it's my cousin, man.
Wow, that's so, boy, he's killing it, dude. What, like,
he is.
And it's kind of a unique story like yours, right? Like a dude that was completely overlooked. That he got drafted, obviously, but like late in the draft is when he heard his name called, and immediately has proved everybody wrong, man. Like, wow, that's cool.
Hey man, we got a bloodline, man. That's what we do, man.
Right.
We beat the eyes and prove people wrong.
Man,
God bless us, man. Keep our hand on them.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Anthony, I'll wrap with this. Will there be a moment when you're back there in training camp? Will you have any moment where, like, if somebody gets hurt, you think to yourself, like, man, I could get back out there. I could help the guys out. Or when you do something like this, are you the type that says, nah, it's done. It's over. I know I'm past the game as a player. There's no chance, no scenario that I would line back up again next season.
First and foremost, man, I'm a competitor, man. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's going to be a time where I'm going to get out there and I'm going to be like, yo, I can still do it. And to be honest with you, man, I think I still have a year left in me. But at the end of the day, I wanted to walk out, being able to still move around. I have no, like, real major injuries. So when I get out there and something happen, I'm like, dang, I could probably still do it. Yeah, I'll probably have that. Thought. But to actually go out there and get back in them shoulder pads and get to hitting again, nah, man, it's a young man's game, man. I think it's time for these guys to step in and count for somebody else to, be a co-cap or something. You know what I'm saying?
I love it, man. I love it. Dude, what makes me happiest is that you're still going to be in our community and impacting people's lives the way that you have for the last decade, dude. And that's, as I told you the other day, that's as important as you being a hell of a football player, man. Like, it's more important, if we're being frank. That's what means the most to me. Anthony Levine, I'm proud of you. I'm honored that we've been able to have these conversations over the years. I look forward to having more of them with you. And more than anything, my friend, congratulations. Your career and the man you are, it's a testament to you, to yourself, to your family, to the work that you put in to grind and make this possible. I'm so happy for you as you make this transition in your career and grateful for the fact that you have been good to us over the years. Thank you for joining us again this morning, my friend.
Man, most definitely, man. Thank you for having me, man. Thank you.
Anthony Levine Sr. Look, man, I get it. Like, he's a special teams player, right? Like, that's not Ray Lewis. But, dude, that is a story. That's getting into football. Like, as a fan, it's special. The Anthony Levine Seniors of the world are why you're a football fan. Because sometimes someone comes along that you have no idea why you're so invested in. Like, why do I love this guy so much? But you do, and you can't help it. And then you realize you should love the guy a lot because on top of being a quality football player, he's a hell of a person. And we've been blessed. I'm not trying to again, I understand, and I said that, and he gets it. Ed Reed is Ed Reed. Eric Weddle was Eric Weddle. But Anthony Levine Sr. played a role with this football team very well for a very long time. Was part of a Super Bowl title team. Brought up the next group of young players. And I'm telling you, if you haven't been paying attention, watch over the last 24 hours the way they have spoken about him on social media. I've been trying to tell you guys this for a few years. For truth be told, as much as I liked Anthony, I've always liked Anthony. But it wasn't until 3 or so years ago that I started seeing, when I was in the locker room, the reverence that these guys had for him. When I was, it's something you can pick up on easy. It was easier for me, like when Ladarius Webb was drafted. I knew the reverence he had for Ed Reed, right? So watching that was unique. Watching Ray Rice's relationship with Ray Lewis was really unique, right? Like, I got to see, for those that don't, Ray Rice was like on Ray Lewis's hip. They were attached at the hip when Ray Rice came into the league. Like, I've never seen anything like it. We brought Ray Lewis out to do an event, and Ray Rice just showed up because they were that attached at the hip.
Like, I never knew that.
It was famous at that point. Like Ray Rice, wherever they requested lockers next to each other. Ray Rice wanted to soak up everything from Ray Lewis. Everything. Understandably so, of course, right? Like you certainly get why it is that someone young in their career would say, I'm going to be in the same organization as – and Ray Lewis took a particular interest in Ray Rice too. Like it was they were inseparable. Watching the way guys gravitated to Anthony Levine Sr. was wild to me, right? Because I was used to, like, Anthony was a guy that, like, when I was in the locker room, I would sometimes just go to for a chat. When I was on the beat, there were a group of guys that I would just go to for a chat every time I was. Mark Clayton, for example, was a guy I would just go to for a chat every time I was in the locker room. Even if I had no work, like, even if there was no purpose to it, I would just go over and say, hey, man, what's going on? And we would just chat for a little while. And I might learn something during the course of the time that we were talking. I might not. We might just talk. Like, he might ask me about my girl. Like, it's just the way that it went. But there were guys like that when I was on the beat. And that continued even after I was off the day-to-day beat. And I was only going in once a week or so. They were just guys that I would gravitate towards for conversations, right? Like, we talk about anything and everything. And Anthony became one of those guys as the years went on. And part of that was some of my guys had moved on. And, he was just a guy that I still knew. And that was when I started seeing, like, guys coming over to him, desperate for information, desperate to soak up his knowledge. I'll tell you one, Tony Jefferson was like that. Tony Jefferson, for as much as he came back for a football reason, guys in that locker, I watched Gus Edwards gravitate to Tony Jefferson. I know his story. I know what he overcame. He's a role model to me. I want to soak up everything I can from Tony Jefferson. It was wild. You're like, Tony Jefferson's not Ed Reed. He's not Ray Lewis. He's not Terrell Suggs. He's a good player, and he's carved out a very nice career for himself. But, it was wild to see that level of respect that was being paid. And Anthony Levine, it was even wilder, right? Because he wasn't even Tony Jefferson as a player, as a defensive player. But you felt it. You just saw how these guys wanted to be in his presence, wanted to soak up everything they could from Anthony Levine. And in talking more about it with Tyus this season, realizing, like, it was more emotional than that. Like, he was their shoulder. Like, he was their strong tower, if you will. They would go to him for spiritual things. Like, and I say spiritual, I don't mean necessarily religious. Like, I need to talk to you about this thing in my life. It's not just that I want to soak up information from you about playing football. I got questions about things going on in my life, and I need somebody to talk to about that. Mm-hmm. And that was like, wow, man. Like, that's powerful. It's powerful. And I get some of that is age, right? Some of that is when a guy's in their 30s, they know a little bit more. And when you're dealing with 23, 24, 25-year-olds, like, it makes sense that you would lean on someone a little bit older with a little bit more life experience. But really was remarkable to me to see the role that Anthony Levine Sr. played for this franchise beyond just being, a special teams ace, which is important and was really good. Happy for him. Really happy for him. Extraordinarily cool that this has worked out, that he gets to stay here in this community, that he has made his home, and he has carved out a relationship with. It's extraordinarily cool how this story plays out, that he's going to continue to be here for years to come.
Yeah, I knew that he had an important role on this team. I had no idea how important he was.
It's interesting, right? Because, again, there's danger in overselling, right? Like, when people hear this, I still understand the difference between him and, Marcus Peters. I still understand the difference. Right. Like, I'm not... My buddy Ken Zalis and I talked about it when we had Coach Anthony on Monday. KZ, who's going to join us here in a minute, always just hates on giving roster spots to special teams players. Drives him nuts, right? And we always fight about this because I'm like, dude, like that's part of the game. You don't have to love it, but it's part of the game.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, well, if you can't find a guy that can actually help you on the field that can also play special team, it's a role. You never say that about your punter. You never say, like, your punter also has to be a defensive back. Mm-hmm. Like, it's insane the way that we talk about this. There's never your kicker, we can't waste a spot on a guy who only kicks the ball. Like, you got to also be able to be a wide receiver. Like, we don't talk like that.
Used to be that way, Jim Thorpe.
There was once upon a time, yes. Once upon a time, there were plenty others that did both things. And then we were like, well, it'd be neat if you could kick a 60-yard field goal and not just have a limit at 40. Like, that would be the way that it would go. But yet, we talk about that with special teams guys. We're like, how could your only role be special teams, or your overwhelming primary role be special teams? Well, because that's part of football. And as we saw in the Packers game, you might end up having your Super Bowl hopes blow up in your face because you didn't invest heavily enough in special teams. Mm-hmm. But I get it. As a player, he was a special teams guy who played a little bit defensively over the years. And at times, we definitely asked for more. But at times, we were like, why wouldn't we see more of this hybrid role of Anthony Levine as a linebacker and a safety? Piss, I meant to ask him about Mike McDonald. I screwed that up. Damn it. I got so invested in the conversation, I just utterly forgot about it. Damn.
Well, if he doesn't end up being here, it wouldn't.
Yeah, right. Then it would have been wasted anyway. All right. Thanks to Anthony Levine Sr. That was very cool. Today's show also brought to you by Glory Days Grill, where these are the final days for you to take advantage of the Comfort Food Classic seasonal menu. So the house-made meatloaf, the grilled meatloaf sandwich, the short rib grilled cheese. Oh, so good. Get over there before they're gone. The smoky thigh wings will remain. That's a fixture now, and may they remain forever. May there never be a day where I don't have smoky thigh wings in my life. GloryDaysGrill.com is the website. Get your order in. I hear there's some, although I'm starting to get the sense that this might also be the snow that was predicted for the weekend might also be a little bit of a bust too.
Yeah, that is further offshore than they thought.
Yeah, like it looks like the Eastern Shore is going to get a lot of snow, but here we might only get an inch or two, something like that. So might not be all that bad, might not really alter your weekend, but if you're the type that whenever there's snow, you're like, I'm good, I don't need to go out, then what I would encourage you to do is stock up enough Glory Days for the weekend. Just go ahead and put your order in on Friday and put it in for meals for every meal this weekend, and then you'll have a weekend of joy and football and Glory Days smoky thigh wings. What more could you ask for in the world? When we come back in, we're going to make our picks. Some drama going into the penultimate week of picks. That's next. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
The latest issue of Press Box is available now, and it's our very special annual Best Of issue. On the cover, we celebrate Justin Tucker as our Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, honoring his historic on-field achievements, but also the unprecedented relationship he shared with Baltimore. Inside, we recognize the top people, performances, and moments of 2021, including Cedric Mullins' incredible season and the dominance of local Paralympic athletes. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farms stores. And you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Sports fans, the wait is over. The all-new FanDuel Sportsbook is now open at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. This is your chance to win big right in your own backyard. Bet on every sport with self-service kiosks and watch all of the action from the best seat in the house. Make every moment more at the all-new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
Need to hone your computer skills to boost your career? Or maybe you want an IT certification? CCBC Continuing Education has the courses and programs you need for a career in the computer field. And it's all tuition-free. From the basics to specialized training, we have the classes you need, from hardware to programming to cybersecurity, and so much more. It's your choice. It's your career. Call 443-840-4700 or visit ccbcmd.edu/computer training.
Window Depot Baltimore provides the highest quality Pro Via windows, doors, and siding for all budgets. The best is finally affordable. Call them today for a free in-home consultation at 410-941-3499. They also offer Zoom and FaceTime consultations in an effort to practice social distancing. A proud sponsor of the Tyus Bowser Show, you can find out more at WindowDepotBaltimore.com.
The Toyota Tacoma comes in a wide range of models and trim lines. You can choose the perfect Toyota to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
If you miss anything, don't forget that you can find whole shows later on Spotify, Apple, or Amazon Podcasts. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil helps extend engine life. Visit your local Jiffy Lube service center. Ask for Mobil 1. A couple of things quickly. The Bears have their new head coach, the second domino to fall after Nathaniel Hackett goes to the Broncos. They're going to hire Matt Eberflus as their next head coach. So there are, I believe, 7 openings now left after the defensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts takes the Bears job. Dan Quinn apparently is telling everybody he's staying in Dallas. That's such a weird situation, right? Especially with the Sean Payton thing from yesterday. Like, what a bizarre scenario exists now there where, like, everybody thinks that Sean Payton's only taking a year off and will be right back in the mix next year. And if the Cowboys fall short again, he'll be the obvious choice that Jerry Jones has always wanted to be his head coach, to slide right in at that point. I guess if he's not interested, Dan Quinn could be. It's very weird. All of it's very weird. And we also know that Jerry Jones is very high on Kellen Moore, too. So it's a very weird situation with the Cowboys where Mike McCarthy's the coach, but, like, the only guy that nobody seems to think has much of a future in Dallas is Mike McCarthy. It's very weird. Everybody else is going to be the next head coach of the Cowboys.
How does he coach like that? Like,
I mean, because it's your job, right? Like, because he knows that he wouldn't necessarily be in demand for other jobs. Mm-hmm. There's only 32 of these available, right? Like, it's why the Jaguars can always get a coach. There's only 32 jobs available. By the way, apparently the Jaguars interviewed Vic Fangio. There's nothing more Jacksonville than interviewing Vic Fangio to be there. Imagine you're a Jaguars fan and you're thinking you're getting Byron Leftwich, and it's exciting, and he's a guy that you used to root for, and, like, maybe they can breathe some life into this god-awful organization, and you end up getting Vic effing Fangio.
Well, didn't they also interview Bill O'Brien?
They did indeed interview
I can't
Bill
imagine
O'Brien.
that guy ever coaching again in the NFL.
Bro, I hear you. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars, man. Like, I don't know what else there is to say. All right, so that's what's going on today in the NFL. Of course, as we mentioned earlier, Ben Roethlisberger also announced his retirement officially, so that puts the end to any speculation that he's just waiting and hoping and praying that someone would give him one more shot.
I mean, Brett Favre officially retired like 3 times.
But did he ever actually officially retire?
I remember him crying at the podium with the Packers.
Maybe I do vaguely remember that. Maybe that's true. All right, joining us now, we got to make our our penultimate week's worth of picks, although it could be the last time there's any drama related to picks, depending on how these picks go. He is our friend, Pressbox NFL Draft and Fantasy Football expert. He's our buddy Ken Zalis. He's back with us now here on GCR. What's up, pal?
Good morning. This will probably definitely be my last significant pick.
So you would have to pick both games differently than Kyle in order to stay in.
Correct.
I would have to pick one game differently than Kyle.
Right.
In order to stay alive for another week.
Yes.
But the insane part is that a little while back, we were all doing well. Everything was quite all right. I utterly and completely fell apart in the postseason. Utterly, completely, to the point where I have actually dropped under 500 for the year. There was a couple weeks ago, I sent Steck a message. I was like, dude, if it weren't for you, we'd all be over 500 as a group, right? Like, as a group, we'd be over 500. Even with Proctor weighing us down, we'd be over 500. At this point, only Kyle is over 500. It all fell apart, as Lincoln Park once said. During the course of the postseason. What a disaster this has proved to be.
Yeah,
well,
me treading. I made a nice run towards the end, but treading water the last 2 weeks that hasn't helped me.
Yeah, not great. Yeah, and it's been a hell of a postseason for Kyle, who's gone 8-2 in order to take the lead. So that's where we are. I'm 2 games back. Ken's 3 games back. There's no drama at the bottom of the table. We already know Andrew Steck is going to be the one coming in here. He's going to have to fly across the country to have his back waxed while he eats a tarantula and sings Hero from Spider-Man. We are looking forward to that a great deal. By the way, you know what? I'll talk more about that in a second. I saw our buddy Eric Arditi, who owes us the prison pizza, and we are going to get that squared away. I saw him last night. I'll tell you more about that before the show's over. All right, so before we get to that, before we get to the dramatic picks, KZ, first of all, you want to remind everybody about Underdog Fantasy Football?
Underdog Fantasy Football, underdogfantasy.com on the PCs, as they call them in the old days, the computers, and at Underdog Fantasy on Twitter and things like that. You can go there, sign up, use the code PressBox if you're a first-time user, and you can deposit up to $100, and from the good friends at PressBox and Underdog, they will match that $100. And you know, you can play all kinds of games. You can even, I know Glenn's eager. I'm going to get him into one of these soon. You can even start doing best ball leagues for 2022.
No, you cannot. You cannot get me to do those things. That's not something I'm going to do.
I'm going to get him into one. I'm going to get him into one. But you can do fun player props, over-unders on this weekend's football games and win up to 20 times your money. You can also do the NBA, assuming there's a Major League Baseball season. We can do that. Even if you like golf, you can do that. We'll get Drew to do some golf on Underdog.
There you go. Do you?
I love golf.
Like watching golf?
I watch golf. I play
God.
golf. I enjoy golf.
You and I are not alike in that way.
I enjoy DFS golf is fantastic.
Good for that. Look, I'm not. People are into things that I'm not into. That's the way that it goes. It's just I've talked about this over and over again. I have desperately tried to get into golf because I'm not telling you I understand the struggle, but I am a white male who does not give a crap about golf. So an attempt to get along with other people, to be a part of the culture, I have tried so many times in my life to start playing golf, to watch golf. Nope.
The golf course is the new Chili's of the business world.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Can't do it. Just cannot. But you know what? Other people are, and I respect that. I'm going to be up tonight watching Rafael Nadal play tennis, and not everybody else is doing that. I have a bit more class. That's just the way that it goes. All right, KZ, I guess let's do the picks first, and I'm going to ask you a couple things.
Okay.
I think I know how Kyle picked one of these games. So I think I'm going to be able to save my season by picking the opposite thing. The problem with that being, I think he's going to be right, and I'm going to be eliminated anyway. Let's start.
Yeah, but that's the only hope you have.
It is the only hope that I have, because I have to stay alive past today. There's no second place does nothing for me. There is no point in trying to stay in front of KZ. It means zero. So the only hope of staying alive is that I pick one of these games. If I pick them both differently, I could be tied going into next week.
Good.
But I got to pick one of them differently to keep my season alive. Let's begin with the AFC Championship game.
All right, AFC Championship game. You have the upstart Cincinnati Bengals visiting the Kansas City Chiefs in their fourth straight AFC Championship game and fourth straight at home at 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. Kansas City favored by 7.
Why don't you go ahead and tell me, because it doesn't matter how John and Stecca picked it, because it's irrelevant. There's no competition there.
John picked KC, and Stecca picked Cincinnati.
Okay. Kyle has pretty strongly been riding with the Chiefs, and smartly so. Mm-hmm. Smartly so. It has paid off for him to ride with the Chiefs. And if you watched me yesterday with Stan the Fan Charles, I'm telling you, I think the smart bet is to pick the Kansas City Chiefs this weekend. As we know, Joe Burrow has been sacked 11 times in 2 playoff games, and I think you can get away with those things when you're playing the Raiders and when you're playing the Titans, and when Ryan Tannehill's willing to throw the ball to you 3 times. I don't think you can get away with that when you face the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll also give you something else. Here's a little nugget for you. The Chiefs, 9-2 against the spread at home this year. As we always said, Ken, what? What do we always say?
They never cover.
Well, turns out we're wrong. They're 9-2.
They covered this year.
They're 9-2 against the spread at home this year. And I'm convinced, as we talked about a little bit, that the Chiefs are more a team that's just kind of bored by the regular season at this point. That we know how good we are, we'll get it figured out, and when we do, we can go back to being – we've got Travis Kelce, we've got Tyreek Hill, we've got Patrick Mahomes. What are you going to do about that? I think the safe bet is the Chiefs. But I think Kyle knows that. And so I'm picking the Bengals.
Wow. My only goal, it doesn't matter what I believe, like you said
you
this
just
week.
have to try to pick differently than
Kyle. It doesn't matter. My analysis of these football games means so little in this contest at this point because I'm just trying to guess where everybody's going. And I agree with you. I think the narrative that we've all used, although I caught up to it a little bit sooner than you did with the Chiefs this year, because they hadn't covered in a long time.
Yep.
They were very bad the last year and a half, but somewhere along mid-season this year, all of a sudden, that kind of flipped and they started covering. And you look at them. I mean, even last week. I mean, they covered the number. I mean, you don't like how they covered it, and it was just nuts that they did it. But they did it. They did it in overtime. They were favored by 3. They scored a touchdown. They cover. But I think my only chance of winning this was to go and take the 7 with Cincinnati, so that is what I did.
Of course, this is the part where Paul's about to tell us. You know what's about to happen now. Paul's about to tell us that
I know. He's going to take Cincinnati.
Kyle was playing poker the entire time and took Cincinnati knowing that we were thinking this, and we're both going to be screwed by this, and you're about to be eliminated.
Nope.
Yes. Kyle
and Proctor both took Kansas City.
All right, so we have life.
Okay, I got one.
And that officially means I cannot be eliminated today. Not today. I can be eliminated on Sunday, and I probably will be, but I cannot be eliminated today because that's exactly what I thought was going to be. And by the way, smart. I 100%. I am betting American dollars on the Chiefs to cover on Sunday because it's genuinely what I believe is going to happen. But got to do what you got to do in order to stay alive. Who knows? Maybe all of them get diphtheria on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
I don't even remember which one diphtheria is. Being totally honest
drowned
with
in
you.
the river.
Correct. Which one was diphtheria? Like, wait, what actually?
I think it wasn't it dysentery?
Well, dysentery was a thing too, but diphtheria.
Yes.
Diphtheria is a serious infection caused by strains of bacteria. All right, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it alone.
Yeah, we're just going down a wrong path.
Right. Okay, you say so. All right. So now it still matters to Ken. Ken's got to get both these.
It matters to me.
All right.
It matters to me.
So your next game at 6:30 on Sunday, 49ers at the LA Rams. Rams at home favored by 3.5 despite losing their last 6 games to the 49ers.
It's remarkable, isn't it?
They've never beaten Jimmy Garoppolo.
It's remarkable. Well, I mean, I don't know what to say. It's just remarkable. Go ahead and tell me what John and Andrew did. Again, irrelevant.
All right. They both picked San Francisco.
They both picked San Francisco. The problem I'm having is that I definitely want to pick San Francisco too. I'm trying to figure out, right? If there's any, like, is this the reverse lock of all time? Is this the thing where we're all saying we have to bet San Francisco? Like, we have to. They've beaten the Rams 6 straight times and they're 3.5-point dogs. They don't even have to win. They just have to play a team close. They've beaten them 6 straight. Is this the reverse lock of the century? Did the Rams, by virtue of what they did a week ago and surviving their attempt to piss that game away, did that announce them as being, all right, we had the one we were going to lose, and we lost it. Now we're golden. And are they sort of the team of destiny? I'm betting that Kyle picked the 49ers because I do think it's the smart money for this week. I'm betting he picked the 49ers. Because I've already got one in the bank, I'm also picking the 49ers for this week. Ken.
So this one was tough for me because everybody is going to be on the 49ers, and I think that this is a blowout of massive proportions. Okay? I think that all this talk about the Rams have never been, Jimmy Garoppolo, that's fine. One game with this Rams team, they lost. They were up by 14 at the half. And then the game meant absolutely nothing to them. So I'm not saying they didn't try, but when things got rough, it's like, are we really killing ourselves to win this game when it means everything to them and it doesn't mean anything to us? And I think the Rams are the best team in the NFL, and I've said that all year on both sides of the ball. They're the most balanced team. I think they win this game by 17, and I am going to take them.
Now, so you got to do a better job of building this because you know what's at stake now. What's at stake now? Uh-oh.
If he took the Rams, I'm done.
Boy, you didn't build it that well. You needed to do better. I understand what you're doing, but you got to build it better. You got to build
Here
up
lies Ken Zalis' pick'em chances as Kyle Ottenheimer from the grave has taken the Los Angeles Rams to win this game.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, and I knew there was a possibility because there's no. I mean, even if, because I was going to be wrong either way because the Rams are winning this game, and I truly believe they're winning it in blowout proportions this week. I don't think this is a close game this week. So either way, I was going to. So if I took the 49ers and the Rams won, I was eliminated anyway. So I was just going with one that I thought could.
The real problem for me now is that I need both these games to go my way. Like in the other scenario, I only needed one of them because if Kyle and I picked one game the same way, we could both lose. It'd be fine, right? There's almost no chance that I'm getting. There's no chance I'm getting the Cincinnati one. So like, there's almost no chance. But that I do have life. I have life into Sunday as Kyle and I continue to pick the games differently. Kyle's on a heater though. He's on an absolute heater. So. Not great news for me.
If they both win, can we get a come on a yeehaw from you?
Yeah, sure. I would do that without that. I mean, I like doing that anyway. But that's the deal. So everybody else is out now. KZ stayed alive through one pick, but he has met his untimely demise in our picks contest by picking the Rams game the same way.
Taken out by a zombie.
Unfortunately, that's the way it goes sometimes. Kyle, that deal that he's made with Satan that cost him his life. He gave the devil his soul, but he can play a mean fiddle. It's down to Kyle and I going into this weekend, and either Kyle is going to clinch or we will be tied come Monday, depending on the results of these games. That's what's going on. And Andrew Stecca still has to do all that gross stuff. So, we got that going for us, which is nice. Hey, KZ, I think Jim Nagy might be bailing on me today. So tell me 3 things that you're interested in the Senior Bowl next week.
3 things that I'm interested in the Senior Bowl next week. I am very interested in the offensive tackles. I want to see how they hold up against some of these, what are supposed to be top pass rushers.
Are any of the? I know your boy, the Penning from Northern Iowa, is going to be down there. Anybody else that's like a legitimate option for the Ravens at 14 that's going to be down there?
I mean, no, not at 14. But I mean, keep an eye on the kid out of Minnesota, Falele.
Yeah.
I don't think he's an option at 14. I think he becomes an option if the Ravens trade back into the late first round or they trade down in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think he's I think he's just on the fringe of the first round. And if somebody wants to make an argument that because offensive tackle, in my opinion, falls off a cliff after the top 7 guys this year, that he's going to be pushed up into the first round, I can see it because if you got to get one, you're just wishing and hoping that somebody, one of these other guys is a true left tackle type guy, or can switch over to right tackle and not be bumped in, because I really don't like the class after Falele, who I have as my seventh best or sixth best offensive lineman. So I want to see how they hold up. I mean, look, I love the Senior Bowl. The problem with the Senior Bowl is that it's the Senior Bowl, and a lot of these guys that are coming out early that are going to be some of the top picks are not there. So, when there's been some talk that the Ravens could, look at a guy like DeMarvin Leal out of Texas A&M if they decide to go defensive line in the first round. Well, he's not going to be at the Senior Bowl. Yep. Jordan Davis is going to be at the Senior Bowl. Okay, that's a guy that
I'm all in on. Yep.
You can. I'm not. So just for the record, I'm not.
I know we talked about
again.
Yep.
You can't play 25 snaps in a game and go in the top 15 in the NFL. Now, whether that's because Georgia was so good along the defensive line and they did that, or his conditioning just isn't there right now, and maybe that's a thing.
I've talked to way
he's
fewer
a
people.
Massive human being.
For the record, the more people I've talked to about it, the less people that share your concern about that. But,
okay. That's fine. Again, I can only go by what I see. He may go and just tear up the Senior Bowl and make some of these interior offensive linemen look silly. And he's going to run up boards. But again, Kenyon Green isn't there. Tyler Linderbaum isn't there. The top guys are, second round picks that he's going to be going up against that are at the Senior Bowl. The Darian Kennards out of Kentucky types, or the Sailor out of Georgia, who he probably goes up against every day in practice. These are not first round picks, so it's really tough. You just got to be careful with the Senior Bowl sometimes, because as time goes on and guys come out sooner and sooner, a lot of these guys aren't here. I mean, all the top two cornerbacks in the league that are going to be drafted maybe in the top 10 aren't going to be at the Senior Bowl.
That's typically the way that it works. All right, at Fans Fantasy on Twitter is how you give him a follow. Of course, you'll still have some more content coming at PressBoxOnline.com, correct?
Well, we have the rankings up for this week for DFS. We also have our DFS lineups, I believe, went up this morning for that, and then we'll cover Super Bowl week, and then we will jump head first into the draft, and we'll start pumping out 3-4 different articles a week.
Wonderful. All right, KZ, appreciate you, pal. We'll do one more, even though it might.
We still got to pick them.
Yeah,
we'll still.
But it might be utterly. It might be just an exhibition contest at that point. It might be nothing more than an exhibition.
Something else you can throw in for fun?
No, we've made. Well, I mean, we could, but we just made it over the. We could say hey, let's all throw in another $20 or something like that. But it's different than our contest. Our contest is what our contest is, and we don't artificially change it for the sake of trying to keep it competitive. Yeah, we could do something like that. We might. Maybe we will. All right, buddy. Appreciate you. Talk to you in a couple weeks.
Okay. Take care.
Oh, you know what? Oh, man, never mind. Are you still there?
Right. Well, I'm here.
I should remind everybody. KZ is going to be with you guys on Monday. Actually, KZ.
I am. I'm going to be. I'm going to be in on Monday. Yes.
KZ will be hosting the show on Monday because I will be on assignment on Monday with one of our partners.
On assignment.
Yeah. I'm doing some.
So we call it these days.
What's that? Yeah, that's exactly what we
call
it.
We call it these days all the time.
I am with one of our partners on Monday doing some camera stuff because
awesome.
when you got this face, they're like, we need that on camera. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? Was no one else available?
You're so hard on yourself,
Was I the last guy that you called upon? So I appreciate KZ is going to come in and hang out with you guys on Monday. It'll be KZ and Paul with you for Monday's show. And then on Tuesday, actually, we're going to do our college lacrosse preview. So a lot of stuff going on next week. All right, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Take care, guys.
Yeah, Ken Zalis with us here on GCR. And yes, he will be in. I'm going to be down at the Live Casino and Hotel on Monday, hanging out with them. I would encourage you to hang out there.
You poor unfortunate
all
soul.
the time. Yeah, I mean, what a miserable place to be. Just an awful way for me to spend my day. Although I have to be down there super early. I got to be down there at like 7 a.m. Which reminds you that I can use the kiosks at 7. When I get there at 7 a.m. on Monday, the kiosks, those in the FanDuel Sportsbook, those self-service kiosks, all 51 of them, they're operating 24/7. So whenever you stop by Live Casino Hotel, you can put your bets in on whatever it is that you want to put a bet in on. So if there's like a cricket match going on in India that I want to bet on, and the FanDuel Sportsbook at 7 a.m., we should find something that's happening at like 8 a.m. Is there a soccer match somewhere on Monday?
Is tennis going on? Or?
No, tennis ends on Saturday night.
Oh, okay.
That's overnight Saturday, the final, the men's final. We know the women's final now is going to be Ash Barty and American Danielle Collins will be the women's final on Friday night, or overnight, 3:30 a.m. on Saturday. And then the men's final will be determined by the semifinals tonight. Rafael Nadal and Matteo Berrettini, and then Daniil Medvedev and Stefanos Tsitsipas are the 2 semifinals on the men's side. What in the world could I bet on Monday morning? I need some soccer. Give me some. Oh, you know what? There's no club stuff because it's the World Cup qualifying weekend. Somebody find me something to bet on Monday. I need something that I can bet on Monday morning when I'm there. I want to be able to go to the kiosk at 7 in the morning and bet on something that's happening on Monday, like between 7 a.m. and, say, 1 p.m. Go to the FanDuel Sportsbook website and find something that I can bet on during my day that I'm down at the Live Casino and Hotel on Monday. But love them. You love hanging out there. I'm telling you, if you don't know where you're going to watch the games on Sunday, it's the place to be. Getting your bets in on all them kiosks. I had such an awesome time hanging out with Rita for our big event that we did last Sunday. Man, it was so cool being there. It was just everything about it was awesome. Everything about our afternoon at Live Casino and Hotel, and we're looking forward to doing more. We're working on that right now. We're picking more dates, and you never know. You might be seeing more of my face just as you're wandering around Live Casino Hotel. There might be a little bit of that coming. You might be just walking by and being like, hey, there's that doofus again. That might be coming very soon to your experiences at Live Casino and Hotel. And then the other thing I wanted to share with you about Live Casino Hotel is that if you want to be there for the big game, and I'm telling you, whatever it is that you're planning on doing, you're going to have more fun if you go to Live Casino and Hotel. You got to get your reservation in now. It is a popular place to be. The in-game bets, the numbers moving, all the different props, even those numbers are going to move. Like the player prop numbers are going to move during the course of the game. You want to be at Live Casino and Hotel on the FanDuel Sportsbook. So get an email to events@sportssocialmd.com. Say, I want to be there. Can I reserve my spot? And they will get you squared away. You can sit in one of the reclining chairs. You can sit down at a table, get yourself some Thai chili wings. Because, I'm not really a drinker anymore unless Jeremy Kahn is here feeding me booze. I enjoy.
Didn't he try to stop you?
No, he tried to stop me from doing the worst part of it, but he wasn't trying to stop me from any of the other things. I enjoy the cucumber soda water. I order a few of those during the time that I spend at Live Casino Hotel. Man, I love that place. But that's where you're going to want to be for the big game. Speaking of Jeremy and what I meant to say to you about RDT, of course, you weren't part of this bet, so it doesn't mean as much to you, but we do our baseball draft every year, and RDT was our loser last year. Our baseball draft is very simple. We take a look at the projected win totals for each team, and then we draft teams based on whose win total we think is going to be furthest away from what their win total will end up being at the end of the year. And Eric was feeling really good about himself. I saw Eric last night. I'll tell you more about that. But Eric was feeling really good about himself. He was like, man, I got this in the bag. He thought all season long he was in great shape because he had the San Francisco Giants at 75.5 wins as their total going into the year. Well, as we know, the San Francisco Giants were much, much better than that. And that was a very smart first pick from our boy Eric Arditi, right? Like, he knocked it out of the park, making that his first pick of the draft. Unfortunately, it didn't go well from there. So the 31.5 points that he got from picking the San Francisco Giants, could not overcome the fact that Philadelphia at 80.5 finished at 82. And Cleveland, whose number was 81.5, they finished at 80. And Cincinnati at 81.5 finished at 83. And so he struggled. He struggled because he had too many that only got him 1.5 points. Eric finished with 83 points. Kyle finished with 89 points. And I was the big winner with 99 points. And it's not even like I had, like a 30-point one like he did. My first pick was Washington. I absolutely was like, I don't see this at 84.5. I thought they were going to be better than that.
I did too. I picked them to win the East.
I thought they were going to win 97 games. I thought, but it worked out for me because they were 19.5 games worse than that. And so I got a big score of my first pick, Washington. And I was the big winner. But that didn't matter. The only thing that mattered was who lost. And Eric was the loser. So he's got to come in here and he's got to make himself a prison pizza, which we found. The way that you make a pizza in prison is you got to use all items that you can find in the commissary. And so they crush a bag of Funyuns, and then they use the bag of Funyuns to make the crust for a pizza. And they use not whatever you can find in the commissary to make a prison pizza. Anything at all. It ain't pizza. I don't know what you think it is, but it's something that they call pizza if you're in prison. And we also told him for baseball reasons he's got to throw peanuts and Cracker Jacks on top of it too. So he's going to make one. He knows, and we're going to find a date. He texted me this morning. We're going to find a date to make it work that our boy Eric Arditi from Barstool Sports will come in and join us and will consume his prison pizza. I'm very much looking forward to that.
There were some college and high school exploits that could have gotten me ready to eat that. That type of thing.
No, there would be no point at which you would say, because you do it in prison because there's no other options.
I once made a grilled cheese using an iron, 2 pieces of bread, and grated Parmesan.
That's ingenuity is what that is.
Terrible.
That's ingenuity. I'm sure it was awful.
I've ever eaten.
But most of the time you have another option of some sort, especially in college where you've got something in the mini fridge, right? Like there's some string cheese or something that you can enjoy when you're doing, or maybe the late night thing is still open down at dining hall, whatever it is. There are some
Tuesdays
options.
was breakfast night.
They did breakfast for dinner or for late night?
For late night.
Yeah, late night was always at UMBC. It was always the same. Late night was individual pizzas, and I feel like there was something else that was an option. Maybe chicken fingers. It was perfect. I mean, it was perfection when I was at UMBC. I can't even remember. Maryland's situation was far different because there were so many different dining halls, right? Like that. I actually want to say cereal was always available. Late, you could always go in and they had this cereal bar. It was wonderful. Oh, it was so wonderful. But the moral of the story, of course, is that they didn't serve prison pizza because that's awful. Eric, however, will be enjoying a prison pizza. I had the chance last night to spend my evening with Lynn Leach calls it the family, the people that knew Mo Gabba and were closest with them, and it's been an honor. I knew Mo, and sometimes I don't feel like I'm worthy because I didn't know Mo the way that Jeremy knew Mo, for example, and I certainly didn't know him the way that Priestley knew Mo, or even frankly Eric. Eric and I kind of got to know Mo around the same time, but Eric lived closer to Mo, and Eric spent a lot more time with him. I knew Mo, and I had a few conversations with Mo, and of course, we had him on the cover, and we brought him out, and we had this magical night with him and Sanzi and Bradley and Nikki Bozeman, where we presented him with his Sports Person of the Year honor. And, I tear up thinking about that night because it was, as Eric and I talk about, it's when I look back on my professional career, they could ask me to host the Academy Awards, and it wouldn't mean to me what that night meant to me. And it was at a Chick-fil-A. It was just, there's so much there. But I greatly appreciate that they've included me in all of these things over the years. And Dean from Thread Level Midnight was there, and Sanzi, of course, and Lynn, who, if you followed anybody who's close with Mo, you understand that Lynn Leach was his sort of shining light, was a special teacher that he had in school and kind of walked with him every step of the way. During everything that he went through, and his uncle was there last night, and his cousins were there, and it was just really special to spend that night. And a huge thank you to John from Jimmy's Famous Seafood, who hosted everyone. And it was just really wonderful. It was a really wonderful way to spend Mo's 16th birthday, and the promise was made that on Mo's 21st birthday, doesn't matter what night of the week it is, we're all going out and getting effed up. Like, we're all going out and having a party. We'll keep doing this on Mo's birthday every year, but like last night at all, like by 8:30, 9 o'clock, everybody's like, all right, we gotta go, we gotta get home, we gotta go to work the next day. And then the promise was made that in 5 years, when we get to Mo's 21st birthday, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're all going out and drinking. Like, we're all gonna celebrate Mo's 21st birthday the same way. So we love Mo, love you, and it was just a wonderful way to spend his birthday, to be around the people that loved him the most. And some people that couldn't make it out, unfortunately, last night for various reasons that were badly missed, but a wonderful group of people, and it's an honor to have them invite me to be, and my wife to be a part of it. It means the world to us that we've been included with that group over the years, and I can't say enough about what a special thing it is. All right, let's go ahead. You're going to say this is weird. You guys are trying to wind down on time. There's other things that we're doing, and so I can't tell you why it was that it was priority for me to. The funny part was I purposely didn't want to book another guest today, and of course that would be the day that we had a guest that failed to show up.
Right.
Was the day where I said let's limit it to 3. I don't want to put a 4th guest on today, and then we ended up only having 2. But there is a reason that I just can't tell you about why it is that we're trying to wrap up on time today. Today's show, and Tidbit in particular, is brought to you, speaking of Mo Gabba, by the print issue of Pressbox. On the cover, our Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, Justin Tucker, who very much embodies the spirit of Mo Gabba and his love for this community and wanting to do good things for people. That was much of the reason. He's also very good at kicking a football. Like, I don't know if you heard, he kicked the 66-yard field goal. All of those things went into why Justin Tucker was our choice for our Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year this year. Go pick that issue up at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Pressbox, or read it all at PressBoxOnline.com/bestof, the best of issue of Pressbox.
All right, on Tuesday, Sean Payton decided to step away from coaching, though claiming he is not retiring. In his career with the Saints, Payton won 152 games, 7 division titles, which trails only the Patriots and the Packers since 2006, and Super Bowl 44. With Drew Brees as his quarterback, Sean Payton was 144-85, the second most wins for a head coach quarterback duo of all time.
I wonder who number 1 is. I bet we could never guess.
Which other 4 tandems round out the top 5?
Well, Well, okay, so Billick and Bowler, obviously.
Oh, yeah, all 37 wins, if that many.
I should have sold that better. It's obviously it's B&B, Billick and Bowler. I should have sold that better. Obviously Brady and Belichick.
Yep, they're number 1, 249-75.
I'm going to say McCarthy and Rodgers.
No.
Really?
Really?
That's a bit surprising. That's more than a bit surprising, in fact. He was there long enough that I would have thought that would have been. Tomlin and Roethlisberger?
They are number 3, 144-79, and that tie with the Lions this year.
So funny. Shula and Marino.
Shula and Marino, they are number 4, 122-75. You have one more.
Favre and Holmgren.
No.
I'll say Manning and Dungy, but I don't think he was there long enough.
Nope.
I'll try Manning and Coughlin, but I also don't think it was long enough.
No.
Wilson and Carroll.
Mm-mm.
That's a little surprising. It's a little surprising that they didn't quite make it. I mean, Walsh and Montana.
No.
Yeah.
This is the one I thought you'd get tripped up on.
You know what? It's proving to have tripped me up. Noel and Bradshaw.
Noel and Bradshaw. Okay. They're number 5, 121 and 56.
That's a longevity thing, you know, as much as it's anything else, because like Chuck Noll was just a coach for eternity.
Mm-hmm.
Landry and Staubach was going to be my next guest. I don't know who else is in the top 10, but like.
I couldn't find a top 10 list.
Oh yeah,
it was so hard. It kept giving me stuff from like 2013. I'm like, this is not accurate. That was 9 years ago.
And Levy and Kelly jump out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Shanahan wasn't there long enough for Elway to be on that list. But you know what I mean? Like, there's a few that jump out at you in that.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Okay. Quickly, I'm sorry. Brian, we do Would You Rather on Wednesdays, Brian. I know that alliteration maybe not your strong suit, but the reason we do it on Wednesdays, he wants to know if I'd rather sit outside to watch the U.S.-Canada match on Sunday or watch Jackson Mahomes TikToks for the same 2.5-hour period. The match is in Hamilton, Ontario. 24 and snow showers is the forecast. Brian, I understand what you're trying to do, but you're also, you're leaving out a key part. You're trying to tell me that I'd miss the AFC Championship game if I pick the soccer match, but you're not telling me that, whether or not I would have to miss the AFC Championship game. You're saying I'm watching Jackson Mahomes TikToks for the same 2.5-hour period. Well, then I'd miss the championship game either way. So the obvious choice would be the soccer match. I get it. Trust me, I'm the guy that complains all the time. I'm not doing the cold anymore. I'm out. But that's a personal comfort thing. That's not actual torture. The other scenario is actual torture. I'd rather be uncomfortable than tortured. So I would watch the soccer match. It's just a piss poor decision to have the soccer match be during the championship game. Not all right. Oh, I'm sorry, John. You know what happened? This is not a joke. They changed the interface for YouTube, John. Blame them. So it used to be that the comments were right here, and instead I got to scroll down now in order to find them. I'm sorry. Why do you not know the others' picks? You would have more drama if you knew which way to pick. Because we've always done it that way. We don't want it to be you just get to pick whoever they don't pick. We want it to be everybody's got to send. The rest of the guys have to send their picks in that aren't here, so they don't get the courtesy of knowing what I'm going to pick. So we just always done the game that way. Pick the game however you want to pick it. Yes, would it be better for radio reasons to drag it out further but it's just the way we've always tried to have some integrity. Tried to have some integrity to the game that way in order to do it.
Integrity.
Yeah, Integrity Farms, exactly right. I saw there was a new season starting in February.
Starting on this coming Wednesday?
This week.
Yeah,
not
that. This week, next week.
Right, well, yeah. I mean, Wednesday has already passed this
right.
week, so it wouldn't be, it wouldn't work that way.
Yeah, not yesterday.
That's the way the math works. Nick Kelly. As far as who's for the weekend, hard to find much for me with Buffalo out. I guess I'm intrigued to see the Bengals and determine how scared I should really be about them for the foreseeable future. I guess I'm also interested to see if Weddle can make a Super Bowl. That's an unbelievable storyline to me. I'm struggling with that one. Look, I like Eric Weddle, really good guy. Really like him. I'm struggling with it for two reasons, right? It's not like a guy who was here for 8 years getting an opportunity to go win a Super Bowl somewhere else where you're like, I just really want that guy. I'm trying to think of who the equivalent of that would be. It wouldn't be like if Haloti Ngata, I was really rooting, although Haloti Ngata had won a Super Bowl, so it wasn't the same thing. But I was rooting for Haloti Ngata to win another Super Bowl in
Torrey Smith.
But he also won a Super Bowl. I'm trying to think of somebody who didn't win a Super Bowl. And it's a very difficult thing to do because the Ravens have won 2 of them. So it's hard to find someone. Jarrett Johnson, right? Jarrett Johnson wasn't even
He wasn't on the Ravens in 2012?
No, he was gone by then. Jarrett Johnson was gone, yeah. If Jarrett Johnson, I'm trying to think of the other places where he was. If Jarrett Johnson, and he only went to San Diego. If the Chargers in 2013 were in this situation, I would be rooting like hell for Jarrett Johnson. Spent 8 years here, just happened to be, literally showed up in 2003. His last season was 2011, right? Just happened to miss.
Mm.
I would have been rooting like hell for Jarrett Johnson, who was an awesome community guy, all of those things. I would have been rooting like hell for him to win the Super Bowl. Eric Weddle was more of a mercenary by the time he showed up here and is the definition of a mercenary in, he's been on the team for a week.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me to embrace it the same way. I like Eric Weddle. It's more one of those things where, if they win the Super Bowl, that'll put a smile on my face, right? It'll put a smile on my face that Eric Weddle gets to be a Super Bowl champion and gets to feel the confetti and have that moment. I'll feel really good for Eric Weddle. But to say it's inspiring me to root for the Rams,
not like it would have if Kyle Bowler had led the Raiders.
Exactly
to the Super
right,
Bowl.
man. You would have just had all of those feelings that have been built up for Kyle Bowler. But Jarrett Johnson's the guy that I'm talking. It's the guy that was there for a long time, that built their career, that was really invested, and just never won a Super Bowl and gets one more shot at the end of their career somewhere else. And you're like, I'm really rooting for him. And if they've already won a Super Bowl, it just can't be the same way. It's the same thing. I felt good for Torrey Smith afterwards because I like Torrey Smith, right? But he had already won a Super Bowl. If he didn't win another one, who cares? right? But once the game was over, they played the Patriots, so I was going to root for them no matter what. But once the game was over, I was like, man, I'm happy for Torrey Smith, right? But
he wasn't your driving reason behind it.
Like, I couldn't go say, I'm an Eagles guy now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not an Eagles guy in any way. And yeah, the Eric Weddle thing, sure. It would give me a reason to feel good if the Rams end up winning the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks, is because of Eric Weddle. It would give me a reason to feel good because he's there. Oh, is Byron Leftwich a done deal now? That's what John...
I've been looking for it. I haven't seen anything for Adrian Wilson in, Trent Baalke.
Apparently, a reporter in Arizona said, and I actually know the guy, Mike Jarecki, who's with the Arizona, like he works for their website, said hearing the Jaguars are close to hiring Adrian Wilson as their GM and Byron Leftwich as their head coach, which is what we had heard overnight, was that Byron Leftwich basically kind of said to the Jaguars, if you want me as the coach, you have to hire Adrian Wilson as the GM. I'm not working with Trent Baalke. Mm-hmm. And then we heard about Vic Fangio being a candidate, and you're like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. All right, Tubular brought to you today by, this was brought to you by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Make the most out of every day in a Toyota RAV4, available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today. Here's what's coming up tonight, totally tubular-wise. The Maryland women take on Rutgers, 7 o'clock on BTN+. Towson hosts Delaware on Flow Hoops. I'd encourage you to go check out the Tigers. 7 o'clock tonight at CQ Arena. Mount St. Mary's is at Fairleigh Dickinson at 7 on NEC Front Row. Only Big Ten hoops tonight, Wisconsin, Nebraska. Is that really at 4 o'clock? Did I write that right? I mean, I get they're doing some weird things with these makeup games, but 4 o'clock, is that accurate? I got to make sure I have that right. Yeah, it's a 4 o'clock game. They're doing, I guess, to split up the time between, like, if they had played on Tuesday or Monday and they got to play again this weekend, they're trying to separate the games a little bit more when they do these makeup games. But it's 4 Central, so it's 5 o'clock Eastern. All right, never mind. 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 Central for that one between Wisconsin and Nebraska. Ohio State, Minnesota at 8 on ESPN. As I mentioned, the Australian Open men's semifinals, Rafael Nadal and Matteo Berrettini at 10:30 on ESPN, and then overnight, 3:30 a.m. for Stefanos Tsitsipas and Daniil Medvedev. The World Cup qualifier tonight, El Salvador and the U.S., 7 o'clock on ESPN2 from Columbus. NBC's, no, that's not. Oh, TNT, Lakers, Sixers, 7:30, with Timberwolves, Warriors at 10, ESPN Plus and Hulu for Kings Islanders at 7. Golf Channel for round 2 of the PGA Farmers Insurance Open at 3 o'clock. WWE Network for NXT UK at 3. Everything else, go to GlennClarkRadio.com. Anything non-sports-wise?
Johnny Knoxville is going to be on Jimmy Kimmel Live.
When does
tonight.
that come out?
I think like next week.
Is it? Because he's Johnny Knoxville is going to be in the Royal Rumble on Saturday night.
Yes, he is.
He's going to be participating.
So maybe it comes out this week. Maybe it comes out on Friday.
Does it really?
It's soon. I know it's soon.
February 4th. Yeah, next Friday. Next Friday. All right, very good. And is it one that's only going to be in theaters, or can we?
I believe it's only in theaters.
There's no way, my wife. You want to go?
I do.
All right, maybe after the show next Friday we go watch Jackass.
Oh, I got to work.
The F are you doing, man?
I'm sorry.
Just say you're showing up late. What time do you have to be there?
I work at 4 o'clock on Friday.
We can squeeze in a flick. We can go to like a 1 o'clock picture.
We might be able to pull that off.
I'd be willing to schedule my day around that next Friday. We can make that happen.
Let's if there is a 1 o'clock showing, I will go.
I would even drive up to the Regal there in Abingdon, if that's what we got to do.
I haven't been there.
I haven't been there in eternity, but it's pretty close to where you work.
I remember when it first opened.
I definitely waited in line to see Titanic with my girlfriend at the time at the Regal in Abingdon.
My 8th grade class went to see Titanic.
All together?
All together.
Like as a school trip?
It was a school trip because we read. Was it?
No. Oh no. The unsinkable. Is that
it was like A Night to Remember or something like that.
All right. I mean, I had read a Titanic. I do remember as a child reading a Titanic book, but the movie there's not that.
Yeah,
you took a school field trip and got to see Kate Winslet's boobs out of it.
And they allowed us to do it because it was considered art.
Oh, that is something. That is a wild Harford County is a wild place, man. They're doing some things up in Hazard County.
Well,
that is crazy.
I want that teacher was arrested for something we won't talk about on there.
Oh no! Yeah, I remember we had to see like 3 different movies because we attempted to go watch Titanic and it was sold out every time. I'm telling you, we saw Wag the Dog, we saw the Spice Girls movie, and something else because we couldn't get an effing ticket to Titanic because this is before you could buy tickets online ahead of time. We had to go stand in the effing cold, and I think we finally saw it at like 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning was what we had to do in order to see Titanic.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
our poor parents, because like you couldn't just leave because we weren't old enough to drive. Our parents had to drop us off and come back and pick us up. So we had to go see something. Like we're going to go see Titanic. Titanic sold out. So we couldn't, there was nothing else to do. Like we couldn't walk over to the mall. Like we had nothing else to do. We had to just pick another movie and just go see what other crap movie was playing until our parents could come pick us up.
I remember going to see not Super Troopers, Starship Troopers. My friend Jeff Kingsmore and I, when we were kids, we tried to go see Starship Troopers. My mom dropped us off, and it was rated R, and they would not sell us the tickets. And my mom had a cell phone. I did not.
So you got on the old payphone? Got on the horn?
We tried.
Yeah.
And there were no other movies that we could get into. So it was a gallery at Towson.
Oh, wow.
Where I believe there's an LA Fitness there.
Yes,
now.
there is.
And we could not get into a movie, so we had to walk on the gallery.
Well, in fairness, there's actually some stuff going on. Like
there wasn't anything going on. It was like I think they had Brookstone at the time, or whatever that bookstore was.
But the entire area, like you could walk outside and like walk down the street, and there'd be like.
Yeah, but we were kids.
Yeah, kids. Yeah, there's not
you
really
know,
a lot. That's
so
a college town. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, so like we were stuck at the gallery, which had a bookstore and a movie theater.
Rough.
For like 2.5 hours until my mom came to get us.
Rough.
I don't know why we thought we could get into the movie. Like
we had this happen to us. My final. Oh God, we got to wrap up. I said we wanted to wrap up on time. Final day of 8th grade. We were going to go. We had a friend whose mom was a science teacher at Perry Hall Middle School, and we had planned that, and like she was cool with it. We were going to show up, so none of our parents knew. Drop our backpacks off in her room, and she was going to take them all home, and then we were going to walk across the street from Perry Hall Middle School. There was a little putt-putt place that's now owned by the church, and then the movie theater. We were going to stop at, like, I think it was Village Pizza, and then we're going to go to it's one of my favorite days because it was the final day. I don't know why I have such affinity for this particular day. So we go play putt-putt, everything's cool, and then we're going to go to the movies, and we were going to go see, I'm not kidding, the movie was Celtic Pride.
Oh, man, with Adam Sandler and Damon Wayans, right?
It wasn't Adam Sandler. That was a different movie he did with Damon Wayans. He did, oh, God, I can't think of what that movie was called. I remember that movie, but it wasn't. It was Dan Aykroyd.
Oh, it was Dan Aykroyd,
and
that's right.
It was definitely Damon Wayans, and he was a basketball player, and it was a horrible film. It was an awful film, but it was what was playing. And the Perry Hall movie theater had like five total screens. It was before the Regals of the world.
The multiplexes.
Right.
And whatnot.
So we get over there, and we realized it was a Friday. They had changed the movies that were showing. And Celtic Pride was no longer showing at the Perry Hall Cinemaplex. It was now the only movie that was showing was it was whatever. It was a Kurt Russell film, and I don't remember what it was, but it was rated R. And we were like, "Oh God, what are we going to do?" Because we couldn't leave. We had to wait for Miss Sacra to finish. Oh, I just gave it away. Yeah, I think the statute of limitations is up. To finish teaching for the day, to come pick us up, right? Like, that was the plan. She was going to leave the school, drive over, pick us up, take us back to her house. And, like, we had all told our parents that we were going to his house after school, and they were all going to pick us up there. So we were like, we didn't know what we were going to do. We'd already played putt-putt. Like, we're going to go back and play more putt-putt until we get to this point. And the guy legitimately looks at us, and he's like, "Do you think I care?" He's like some 20-year-old stoner, right? Like, we're all freaking out that we're not going to be able to go to the movies. He's like, "Do you think I care at all that you guys are not old enough to see a rated R movie?" And we're like, "Oh." He's like, "Just go back and watch it." And I wish I could remember what it was. I could probably look back over Kurt Russell's career and figure it out. It was some Kurt Russell shoot-'em-up movie. And it was great. It was awesome.
Was it Escape from L.A. or something like that?
You know, in my mind, that's what I thought it was, but I can't remember which one was Escape from L.A. and which one was Escape from New York. But I also think it might have been a different one. Oh, God, I'll figure it out in 20 seconds. Anyway, tell me what else is coming up.
Unravel the Stalker's Web. Oh, the Truth and Lies, The Last Gangster. on ABC at 8 o'clock. There's
Not
no
familiar.
there was no information on the site that I used, but it sounds cool. And then I already said Johnny Knoxville on Jimmy Kimmel. And then you have The Blacklist, Law & Order Special Victims Unit, Law & Order Organized Crime, all on NBC from 8 to 10.
Was it Executive Decision? Was that what it was? It was either the Executive Decision or it was Escape from L.A. It was one or the other because they both came out in 96. Oh, no. It was called Breakdown. This was the film. I absolutely 1,000% remember this. Breakdown was the name of the film. And I had no idea what it was. I knew Kurt Russell, a 13-year-old kid wasn't big into Kurt Russell at that point.
He had 3 films come out in the same year?
Apparently, yeah.
How many actors do that these days? You never see it.
I don't know, unless they're like bit parts. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Like, that doesn't happen a whole lot. Kurt Russell was box office, baby. Breakdown made $50 million at the box office.
That dude was just working.
He was killing it, man. He was killing it. Came out on May 2nd, 1997. So this would have lined up the last day of school would have been like the first week of June. It's weird. I guess it was still in theaters at that point. Whatever, man.
It made $50 million.
It made $50 million bucks.
Wildly popular.
I remember movies weren't the same way. It wasn't like people would still go to see a movie like the second or third week it was out. It was at that point. Movies were still like a month later. People were still going to see Apollo 13 because they didn't have the giant cinemaplexes. It was just a different movie viewing experience.
To your Titanic point, I saw Titanic in theaters probably 13 times.
Well,
because
you have a problem.
No, it wasn't my fault. I love going to the movies, and that's what we did. We would go to the movies.
And it was just whatever was showing.
I had different friends who all like I saw with my family. I saw with my friend Jimmy like 4 times.
Yeah.
My friend Mike wanted to see it a bunch, and like I ended up seeing that movie like 13 times because it's what my friends wanted to do.
Randomly, I ended up seeing Mean Girls multiple times in a movie theater.
That's
multiple.
funny.
Well, one was a drive-in theater. Like, it's a different story.
I saw Money Talks multiple times.
That's a weird one to have seen multiple times. That's a weird one that you end up seeing multiple times. All right, very good. Thanks today to Anthony Levine Sr. for coming back on with us to talk about his retirement. Thanks also to KZ. We'll get it up in the greatest hits section of the tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Bruce Billick from the FanDuel Sportsbook will join us tomorrow to talk more about betting for this weekend. A lot of prop bets. I think a lot of people know that there are prop bets for the Super Bowl. Don't realize how many there are for championship weekend. Like which quarterback will throw for the most yards this weekend is something that you can bet on through the FanDuel Sportsbook. So we're going to talk about more of those things tomorrow. And, stuff and things on the program tomorrow as well. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including CCBC, Glory Days Grill, Royal Farms, ExxonMobil, Great 8's Memorabilia, Live Casino and Hotel, Underdog Fantasy Football, Duffy's Garage in Baldwin, Window Depot, your local Toyota dealer, and buyatoyota.com, as well as MyBookie. Thanks to Paul. Follow him on Twitter, at Paul Valley III. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Thursday evening. Go Maryland women, go Towson, go U.S. men's soccer. Duke sucks. Ohio State sucks too.